right.
If you don't mind, let's just dive in.
Of course.
I appreciate you being on time very much. So Lester, this is pretty simple. We ask 3 questions. We're asking the same 3 questions of every candidate for every board.
Gotcha.
So, and then normally we don't get to all 3 questions because through your answers, you answer them all 3. So let's just get started. First off, tell us a little bit about yourself. First, you know everybody,
I do.
right? Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving.
Lester Fettig, I've been in Temple most of my life since I was 2 years old, so you can say pretty much all my life. I know the city real well. I've served on planning and zoning for the last 6 years. I'll be off of planning and zoning about September, I think is my services.
She's never not been on it.
It has been a long time. I came in in a half a session because somebody left and then chaired it for a year and that it just kept going. So yeah, it's been a long run, but it's been good. It's been enjoyable.
We don't let go of good people.
Well, they just can't, they have a hard time finding people. No, it really has been enjoyable serving on that committee, that commission, because we've seen a lot of growth in Temple in that 6 years. And my background with Temple and running a business here for the last 40 years has been, it's been interesting to say the least.
So why neighborhood revitalization?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really know a lot about that commission, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about it, and just, I just truly don't know a lot about it. I know there are a lot of neighborhoods in Temple that need some attention and need some help and need some encouragement, and I think I can bring that to it.
Now, even though we're interviewing for that particular committee, you only have one interview, and you've applied for more to be reviewed for more than one spot. So this is an interview for all of us.
Okay, sure.
So RZ is your other one, I think?
Yeah, I did it, put an application in for RZ, really interested in that as well, just because of this business background and all the changes that are going on in Temple and that side of it as well. Not just residential business and bringing new business here and all the things that RZ does. It's pretty interesting.
Both of these boards are really active right now, and you really just get a total picture of what's happening in Temple. It's exciting.
I bet.
What district are you in?
I am in 4.
Do you have a choice between the two, a first choice between those two?
Honestly, RZ.
What skills, talents, or experience do you bring to the position, whether it's RZ or neighborhood revitalization?
I think leadership skills, I have that definitely. Run a business with usually around 100 employees. I've been doing that for a long time. Also know the community real well, so can be a kind of liaison between community members and the city of Temple, if you want to put it that way. I have a good knack of looking at a problem and coming up with alternative sources, resources, and solutions for those problems.
What would you like to accomplish as a board member?
Just to encourage growth in the city of Temple and growth in the right way. You can grow too fast and you can grow in the wrong direction. And we don't want to see that. I know we don't want to see that in Temple. It's growing so quickly that we have to be careful on how it grows and where it grows, and without controlling the people that want to help it grow, just make it grow in the right direction to where it is not detrimental to a lot of the people that have already been here for a long time. That's a fine line that you really ride whenever you're talking about people that have been here for 70 years or their families have been here longer than that, and they've been in the same homes or the same businesses and all that, and try to encourage them to grow without losing that down home feel that we have.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's real tough.
It is tough. That's something we as a council are always trying to be aware of. So, your P&Z experience will actually be helpful on both boards.
I think so. I do.
Okay, you have any questions of us?
Can you tell me a little bit more about neighborhood revitalization? Because I don't really know a lot about that.
We have a definition,
All right, that's all I need.
A written definition.
and I will read it if I
Page 12.
will read it this.
Oh, what?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, didn't understand you. Neighborhood Revitalization Advisory Board is an advisory board as to the direction of the city council. The board advises the council and city staff on matters pertaining to housing improvement, neighborhood revitalization, efforts to create and maintain healthy, vibrant, safe, and sustainable neighborhoods. The board may study, recommend, and review policy, programs, and concepts utilized in other communities which are designed to increase safety and improve quality of life, effectiveness of the city neighborhood revitalization programs, and communication between city and community. Ex officio, our city manager or designee, and director of housing and community development or designee. Just as an aside, if you didn't read yesterday on page 6A, in the first section, obviously A of the paper, read about tiny houses. Not attractive, but interesting.
So the city has taken 18 different neighborhoods they're looking at, they've divided out, giving them each certain names, and are taking just an in-depth look at each one. And that's what I think is just really cool. Each one has its own personality, and they're really offering that up with signage and walkability, just kind of preparing, vetting any kind of opportunity for that area. If, let's say, RZ comes in and has a little extra money to spend, that project has already been vetted, we can just run with it. So sidewalks have become very important in our older sections of the city.
Street alignments or non-alignments
Yeah.
are redrawn as possible new alignments if needed, that kind of thing. And appropriate for the ones that are already been finished, I guess you could say, or redesigned or looked at, whatever the correct term is.
Lester, part of it is exactly what you just said. We're growing in certain areas of the community, new housing and new retail. So we can't ignore the existing part of the community. And this is a program to funnel funds and energy into those existing neighborhoods to give them that spark and to help people have a sense of renewal in their neighborhoods. And actually part of it came out of a RZ master plan exercise and started identifying neighborhoods and ways, and it just expanded as it moved forward.
They're doing 4 a year and they're 1 quarter, and they bring us just all this work, and and they do it with a smile. They love what they do, and are really just digging into the community and going door to door and seeing what they want. It's not, someone else's vision, it's the neighborhood's vision. So it's exciting. I think you would really
That is.
They've had good neighborhood meetings, not, as Jessica didn't say, not just the city's vision, but the residents assisted looking at the vision, future vision.
One thing we talk about a lot of times on the council is hopefully to give Temple a sense of place. You're building, we're building out downtown, and all this, but also with these neighborhood planning districts, the hope is to then give each of those neighborhoods a sense of place. I lived forever over in Bel Air, which is kind of down near the CAC. That's just a bunch of people. Yeah, it's near TMS. And that's just a bunch of people that live in proximity together. And then 4 years ago, we moved into the historic district, and that's a whole different feeling over there. And so what we're trying to do is to take that sense of place, that sense of neighborhood into these 19 neighborhoods and, give people a connection to Temple and their home and their street. So, yeah, I think to Jessica's point, staff is working hard, but and this board is going to work hard. But I think it's going to be a fun one.
No, that's exciting to hear because, as Temple grows, everybody knows West Temple. And that leaves some of these older neighborhoods behind and almost forgotten a little bit. I did see some of the signage and all that stuff that was proposed for Villa and Morris going through PNC and all that. That really, it's not only for that neighborhood to get them revitalized, recharged, if you see your neighbor painting their house or planting something or fixing it, that encourages the other neighbors. So it's almost like a snowball.
Yeah.
That's the
effect. But also the same thing is when you drive through this town, we all know that some areas aren't real pleasing whenever you're not from here. We've been here all our lives, most of us. So you drive through it, you have blinders on a little bit. But whenever people drive, and I've talked to people driving through from out of town that've never been here before, they go, that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And we fixed a lot of it through I-35. Look terrible. We all know that, but it's really come a long way. So that's kind of exciting about neighborhoods. I didn't really realize it's that in depth.
Oh, yeah, downtown's been a big investment. And the first neighborhoods that have been worked on and planned are those that are radiating off of downtown. So you could have started with West Temple, or started with the historic district, but they started with Ferguson Park area. And so, Crestview, so it'll be nice. Again, I think this will be a vibrant board.
We have to say that a lot of older neighborhoods were ignored for years, essentially decades, in terms of streets and sewer and water, drainage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are very, very important, but they're not beautification. We want also to improve visual.
Sure. And I almost disagree with that not being beautification, because if you have a road like North MLK, well, it is rough. I mean, and if somebody's gonna drive through there that doesn't know the area and they're rattling their teeth out in their car going down, they're not looking at the houses anyway. They're dodging potholes. So, yeah, I mean,
It's true.
it really is. That's just important. The other thing on those older neighborhoods like that, the water and sewer is so bad over there. Those lines are so old. Everybody knows it. That I'm sure a lot of money's going over there. And you said it, I work over there, so I drive through there a lot.
Yeah.
And there's always a water leak. There's always the street is dug up or something and not fixed. And it's just, that kind of gives them a sense of they don't care about us down here,
For sure.
So
And they're right.
direct some of that stuff
Historic.
to that infrastructure, the streets and stuff, and they go, we have a nice street, Yeah,
50%
mow my yard now.
Part of that is also driven by absentee ownership. A lot of those areas are rental units, and the owners probably haven't seen them in years, but certainly haven't done anything to upgrade.
Sure.
So if you can take sections and have people come in and buy houses, renovate them, and flip them, and move into them, and bring young families back into the core housing area of the city, it's a win-win.
Sure.
And that happens as your community gets bigger. But not everybody wants to drive 20 minutes from West Temple to get to Scott and White if they can walk from the T-Med area. So
Of course, absolutely.
it all goes hand in hand.
Council, anything for Mr. Fetty? Appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much.
You bet.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you. When are these?
So we're interviewing this week, and I think we're going to discuss and make some nominations at the end of the week.
Oh, that quick?
Yeah, and then ultimately will be, I think approved April 1st. Is that our first meeting? Right? Yeah, so, and then everything goes into effect, April 1st also.
So those are once a month meetings, is that correct?
Yeah.
Is it
Twice
twice?
a month.
Got it right here.
RZ is once a month, and
This one is the fourth Tuesday of the month. Wait a minute.
yeah, fourth Tuesday of the month at 11:30. They always cater it for lunch, so makes it easy for everybody to sit and
Sure.
catch up.
It's those are the proposed times.
Give you an idea of the scope of this, we have over 90 interviews that were conducted by the time we start placing slots.
It's exciting. People that are new to Temple are coming in and getting involved, and
That's
It's not the
It's some
same.
fresh energy too.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
just those guys that have been here forever.
And some younger people, which is really good. to
Yeah, we
get
need to get-
people involved as we age and they age too, but at a slower rate. Stress that.
Feels like
No.
The young experience. Thank you.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, thank y'all. Have a great day.
You too.
I told her I'm gonna talk trash all
How are
year.
you?
All right.
Y'all couldn't arrange it any more intimidating.
I know, I'm sorry.
Gee.
We'll look at, we look super intimidating.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Wait till about 1 o'clock this afternoon, we will be
that's right. Wrap it up.
This is a non-paying position, right?
like all of them.
All of them. So, do you know everybody here? I don't know that I know you.
Visually, I've seen many of you.
I'm Jessica
Judy.
Walker.
I'm Ms. Walker.
I'm Wendell Williams.
Williams.
Tim Davis.
I'm Judy and I'm Susan Long.
Susan.
Nice to meet you. I know you by face, but not by name, so now we've got, put names and faces together.
I don't know you through my wife.
Pardon?
My wife.
Yes, of course, and that's what I'm talking, that's partially what I'm talking
She's,
about.
she speaks of you.
Well, I have enjoyed getting.
I know some of you ladies-
You tell her I have something to say to her.
She says,
This could be more fun than
I know.
That's what you really said.
All right, Mr. Alamy, let's dive in. We just have a few little questions to ask you. Take as little or as much time as you would like. First question is to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving.
I've been in the field of education for about 37 years. I retired after working for the state of Texas in the Texas Education Agency. There I was working in accreditation, and I guess the last 7 or 8 years I was a special investigator for the commissioner dealing with fraud. And from there I retired, married Lydia, and moved to Temple.
Good decision.
Well,
Well, two of them, Mary Lydia and moved.
I'm considered a newcomer to the area. I've only lived here 21 years. As far as the position on this committee, we lived out on Hot Creek Bluff in Little River, and we just wanted to move into town. And East Side, we thought needed a little help, so we bought an old home, remodeled it, dumped a bunch of money that we'll never get out of it. And I thought by maybe being a showcase in the neighborhood, it might build a little pride and encourage others to fix it up. Stop parking in the yards. But having said all of that, it didn't quite work that way. It's slow. And then Judy recommended this committee. And I got on it. We didn't go through the interview, just kind of showed up. And again, I learned that improvement is a slow process. I thought, my neighborhood would have sidewalks and curbs overnight, I guess. It was kind of like an illusion I had. Things happen like that way. But anyway, I discovered that it doesn't. And that's one reason why I want to continue on this project, and maybe I'll see it to completion. I'm getting old, and I kind of want to tell the staff, come on, let's hurry along, get to my neighborhood kind of thing. But anyway, that's why I want to serve. And I might add that we have an excellent staff. Nancy Glover and her group are just a diamond in the rough, you might say. And so anyway, I signed up for it again to continue the project of improvement in our neighborhoods. And Temple, a place to live, and I want to be a part of that. I guess that's it.
I want to add that his house is right across the street from my lady Road. And so it's on the corner. You see that really, really neat house with the wraparound porch and, yeah.
That'd be mine.
So they really have invested
Um,
at this point, and they've walked several lots down the street and.
I'm trying to, if they don't improve it, I was trying to, I think I'll buy it. I've been blessed with a good retirement system, and so I'll add 2 more on my side of the street to the corner.
Wow.
But anyway,
And that's really digging in,
Yes.
putting your money where your mouth is.
yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I learned a lot about when we remodeled that home. The codes came into play, easements. I had to get a variance, and that was a little hectic process. But we persevered, and here we are, and it's a beautiful home, and we love it.
It is a beautiful home. I didn't know I didn't know that was Lydia's house.
Yes.
I just, every time I drive by there, I think, oh, and it's so gorgeous.
She constantly complains that I like plants. I work with plants.
I can tell that.
She says, must you have all these pots all over? People drive by and all they see, well, it's winter,
You
they
tell
die.
me that's what people love.
Well,
Or
that's
at
what
least
I love,
it's
that's my therapy. It is what it is.
I love all those pots. Every time I see them, I think, oh, there's
Well,
a
right now,
garden.
they look kind of messy, they're dead.
Well, but everywhere does right now. Bad winter.
Oh, was it ever? Anyway, it's called start over.
Yes.
What would you like to accomplish by sitting on this board, do you think?
If half of the recommendations come to fruition, I will be a very happy camper. Everywhere from the north side and the historic district, all the way to the east side and the south side of Temple. I'm especially impressed with their ideas concerning alleys. I think most of if not all of the recommendations end up in your hands, but I'm just, who can make an alley look beautiful? And that ain't easy. And, but these ladies are extremely creative and talented. And I'm just tickled to death. I can hardly wait for them to get to my neighborhood.
I think a lot of people feel like you do.
Yes.
Kind of waiting.
Yes,
to come around to them.
light is good, it's always, especially where I live. Some of Judy's help, we've gotten some street lights and, well, not street lights, bulbs replaced,
Yeah,
you know. I don't think there's anybody driving around at night looking for bulbs that are out. But if you just report them,
Mhm.
they get done,
Yep, that's true.
so.
It's true.
That's a good point, that we wait for that to be reported as opposed to checking.
Right, for example, there is a pedestrian crossing sign right next to the church. And all weekend it's been, with the wind, just banging and banging. And, you know, this Johnny Garcia just calls the street department and they'll come and, I guess the screw fell off or it's not untied. And it gets done, so. Anyway,
The property, this is a personal question, if you don't want to answer.
Sure.
Don't worry about doing that, but the property you purchased down from your house in the south, is that vacant or are those have homes?
the last two, the last one, the title is okay, but there's also issues with titles. Heirs, you know, and this is all new to us. We just thought, hey, that lot's empty, let's buy it. No, it doesn't work that way. The survivors, you have to deal with them.
If you can find them.
Yes, if you can find them. And then getting a release on them. And one of them in particular, the one that has an issue with title, has an old shack, for lack of a better word. But he can't, and he doesn't want to go to the expense of getting a clear title and getting the heirs. So therefore, the city continuously writes them up and they cut the yard and all that kind of good stuff. I've learned that also.
Those, and that city's doing the cutting, that adds to the liens that will be on the property eventually, somewhere, sometime.
And that's how we got the lot right next to our house. Eventually, the people lost it or gave it up, or I don't know, and we were able to buy it then.
Can you still go through a tax sale? If they're not paying property tax in the county or the.
I think the one that we did buy was, they got tired of having to cut it. And they got to the point where they just couldn't afford the city to do it. So they just gave it up. And that's what we bought it. So it's a process.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, most of us that are new to the buying a property, we just assume that if you have the money, you can buy it. Well, that's not necessarily the case.
Might mention that I was very involved with the church, very involved in knowing a lot of people in that neighborhood, of the community.
Yeah, well, that was one of the reasons for picking that particular house. I think Lydia, been looking up for the title. It was an old railroad kind of house, and it was 1899, I think, apparently, in some of the documents that she found, but, yeah, it was old. Anyway, the fact that it was so close to the church, it's right across the street. You know, I have no excuses for not going.
that's right.
I can basically crawl over there.
But you can't just skip either because they know you're not.
Oh, yes, I joked with the priest there and I said, if you ever want to know who doesn't attend, let me know. I check every Sunday. I can tell you who's who and who comes and who goes.
That's funny. We appreciate you, your interest in this board and obviously your dedication to your neighborhood. That's very noble.
Well, Judy is kind of, it's hard to tell her no.
No.
We found that.
I've served in the rewriting of the charter, the selection of the police chief, Mitchell. And she kind of has let me rest for a while. And
Don't bank on it.
I've kind of stayed on this one. So anyway.
I think, just so you're aware, we were just discussing that we're probably gonna finish up this process at the end of the week. And then we're gonna sit down and start making nominations. So it'll probably be April first when you hear from us. So not too long, so
Well-
just be patient with us.
I'll tell you another little story. I'm not known for speaking out too much at these meetings. But, if it hadn't been for Ms. Myers' office that called me 15 minutes ago, I wouldn't be here. My wife's at the dentist and I just forgot about it. I says, I have something on the 22nd, but I don't know what it is. And, I
And
can
you
hardly,
are?
I can hardly wait to get this age because, it's okay to forget. It's what we do.
Great, well, thank you for
That's it.
coming in.
Yes, sir. We
Thanks for
appreciate it.
the short
It
notice.
was painless. Thank you very much.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, likewise. Oh, it's
Joy.
back there.
I
Oh.
know.
Tell Lydia hi.
Yes.
Y'all wait for me? No,
You read it?
We did.
all right. All right, let's just dig in then. So we have 3 questions for you. So just fire away. This is your 15 minutes.
Okay, but before we start, can you remind me what I applied for?
Neighborhood revitalization. And then did you put in another one?
The zoning board of adjustments.
Okay, CBA,
Which used to be.
buildings
Board
and
of Appeals.
standards. Yes, very good.
So I don't know if I'm still on there or not, whether it's transferred over.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion committee as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you have a first choice of those?
Revitalization,
Sorry?
revitalization.
So this one is your first choice?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Let me assure you, just one interview, but you'd be considered for all the committees.
Okay.
We're not gonna bring you back 3 or 4 more times.
Okay. And then feel free, if I don't fit there, wherever you think I would fit, that's fine. But, my name is Zoe Grant. I am a Colorado native. I moved here in 2016. So I've been here quite some time, but I have been working since I've been here. I have 2 grown children, 38 and 35, 2 grandbabies, 8 and 2. And, I moved here because my family's roots are here, the Grants, Blockers, and Martins. Robert Martin was the first African American on the commission as Mayor Pro Tem as well. And so it's a little bit of legacy there, but I'm excited to be able to work within the city of Temple. I have several businesses and 2 nonprofits. And the one that I have here is Zoe's Wings Foundation, which we revitalize homes that need repair, that are homeowners, and we work with the city of Temple directly. It was actually founded out of a need for help for residents. And so back then I was working with yeah, and then now I'm working with Nancy, but out of that came Zoe's Wings, and so we've been working to help bring that list down. And I think we've done a great job along with Citizens for Progress, Neighborhood Works, and other organizations. I am very active in my community. I belong to a lot of boards, but they're boards that are active. And if they're not active, I don't stay with them very long, because that is what it's all about, is bringing the community together. I think that's it about me. I just got my master's in at seminary school in December. Trying to get me to come back for my doctorate. I don't know. It's a lot of work. And I got that during the time of starting up the Zoe's Wings. So it was kind of hard, but I managed to get everything done. And then that's me.
Where'd you do the seminary work?
In Rockdale.
In Rocky.
Yeah.
And they want you back for the PhD.
Yeah,
A lot more work.
not more. So I'm thinking about it. Maybe not.
Dr. Grant has a nice ring, doesn't it?
What would be your focus, your dissertation, or area of dissertation?
Mostly counseling. I think that I'm a great listener, and I can help a lot of people with a lot of things through my own experiences, as well as, what I've learned over the last couple of years. So, I really don't know. I haven't thought about it because I haven't thought about going there. So, got one box.
Yeah, a lot of decision.
It is. It is.
So what would you like to accomplish as a board member?
I think that I can bring to the board the African American experience, as well as being an advocate in the community. I can hear a lot of things. I can bring it back. There's the issue where people are intimidated in bringing their issues because they felt they're not heard. But I think that I want to reassure them that they can be heard, and then bring those voices back to the board of how we can, make things better. But not only on the African American community, but Temple as a whole. I lived on the west side, I lived on the north side, but I walked on the east side, and so I'm familiar with Temple. I've seen it grow since I've been here a lot. There's some areas that need to be that have to be more concerned with, but we're working on them. And I'm glad to be working with Nancy and her team and the council.
Nancy's a force, and
She's a force. She's just a busy bunny.
I like how she's always able to figure out how to get to yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I bring a lot of leadership skills and organization skills that can be helpful. I was on the CPAC Board of Advisory for that, and then Board of Appeals. Again, I don't know if I'm still on there because it was transferred over, so let me know.
Everything is fresh.
Everything
So
is
we're
fresh.
starting,
Okay.
yes.
And all this starts in April, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I'd like to be back on that. My concern, and I did address it with Judy, is that during that time, my tenure there, I don't think we've ever met as a Board of Appeals, even if we don't have something to go over. It's good to meet the boards and to know who they are, number one. Put a face with the names. Boards probably would meet quarterly if they don't have anything going on, just for a check-in kind of thing. I would like to see that change. And I know that my email was wrong on there, and I've contacted the city a couple times to change that, but my number was right. So if they did have meetings, I don't know.
I agree with you quarterly.
I like what you said about you're on multiple boards, but you don't stay on if they're not doing anything. No, don't just lend your name to something, do, have something that's useful.
Absolutely.
It's a good point.
Thank you.
You have any questions for us?
Let's see. So, with the revitalization, with me, doing affordable housing, is there any conflict? They're just there, me being on board and me wanting to do certain things I don't want it to look like.
No.
Okay.
No conflict. So how many, whenever you say, is it with Zoe's Wings that you're, and you say it's Zoe or Zoe?
Okay, so here's the story. My mother called me Zoe because I don't think she knew how to pronounce it. Last kid in the baby book, when I was number 8. But I learned to know that the name was Greek and it meant life. And so it's Zoe. So the foundation is Zoe's Wings.
Okay, that's what, but you go by Zoe.
Go by Zoe, but I answer to Zoe.
Okay.
All right, here, what
Either way, I'm gonna try my head.
Just call them.
Who's that?
So how many, tell us a little bit about this revitalization effort that you've got going through Zoe's Wings. How
Okay,
that works, how many homes you do, et cetera.
sure. 2019, we started with our first grant from the city. We got in October. I think we did 11 homes.
11?
During that time. But, you know, some of them are extensive and some of them are overwhelming, put it that way, that's nice to put it. Some of them, it had to do with maybe even tarping a home or temporary fixing some water until we got, you know, full funding to go through. I found that with COVID, since we had to stop working in some of the homes, we dealt with more of the water and sewage because we have to have that CDC guidelines of washing hands and stuff. So I found during that time that there was a lot of homes that actually did not have water. And so we tried to either give them a temporary fix. If it's outdoor work, we did it. If it was indoor work, depending on, you know, the age of the resident or, you know, their comfort level. If they were in a totally different room and working in the kitchen, we could do something like that. But it mostly dealt with water and sewer issues. There's still homes out there that don't have water, they turn it on temporary and then go use it and turn it back off because they know that there's a leak and because of the cost.
They have water, but they're monitoring or controlling the entrance into the house because of a leak.
Yes,
Got it.
and then some just don't have water at all. When you go in their house and they need a borrowed water from someone when their water hose or whatever, and you'd have them lined up by their sink. So we try to get it to where they can have those necessities that we take for granted that we have. I think that with the COVID, because most families were home now, they didn't have that opportunity to go work and use the bathroom or to, electricity is another thing too. But now that they were at home and the kids were at home, you know, the need was even greater because where do they go from
Do
there?
you ask those residents to assist in this if they're able to assist?
If they're able, and you'll be surprised that a lot of them have insurance, but the insurance won't cover it because of the
High deductible?
high deductible as well as the nature of the work. If it's really bad, you know, they're not gonna cover that. Or they'll say, we'll do something if you fix this. And I've had quite a few clients who will go through and spend their money or get money to do some repairs. What we're also finding is that we may go in to fix one item and then you realize you can't fix this until you fix it. And on and on. And so a lot of times they will come up with funds to take care of that as well.
How did they find you or how do you find them? Sorry.
We first started working with the city of Temple and we still work with them. So they have a list of vetting the clients.
So they're referring to you.
Correct.
Okay, I think you said that originally.
Yes, and then, you know, we still get people that call us and when the city opens up to accept more applications, I think they're trying to get the list down. We'll still take some but that's not our only funding.
Yeah.
When we get city funding, if it's allotted for those city people. And so, that's basically it, you know, and we do the same vetting that they do. Making sure that, you know, they're up on their taxes and, that, you know, they're not hiding some money somewhere. So, you know, we'll make sure we check their bank account and all that. Same standards that the city does.
I assume these are all owner occupied.
Well,
Is there any kind of similar program for non-owner occupied where a landlord's not addressing those issues, way to
I
bring that landlord to the table to make sure people have running water,
think
usable
that's
sewer?
big. I think that's big. I don't think there is something that is mandatory at the time. I think they're working on that. I'm not sure. But I mean, you'll see a landlord, a non-owner approaches as well. If it's something that I feel that we can fix, if we have materials, I can do something like that, but we really rely on them of contacting their landlord. A lot of times they don't because they feel that their rent won't go up, or they have a certain amount that they have to do before they can actually call the landlord. We don't want anyone to be without,
No, I understand.
but
That sounds like another issue that's in
Yeah.
search of an answer.
it's a totally different issue. Yeah, and I've not found any law that holds landlords accountable for taxes, and so hopefully we can get something like that.
Okay,
Well, the landlord's accountable for providing water to the house, but not necessarily repairing a leak.
Correct.
There, where that's, as Wendell said,
Yeah.
an issue in search of a, however you phrase it.
Right, and then I found that also on the older side of the areas, there's galvanized pipes, and they're full of all kinds of materials. And so the pressure may be good at the street, but then it's not coming into the house. So then we have to go through and make sure that, when we find out if we have to go through the meter, and we've done that a couple times, gone to the meter, and then we do the whole house. It's fun stuff. I'm learning a lot, and I'm loving working with individuals within the community. Because we also have the learning program where we teach young people or older people with skills to be able to do these kind of repairs. It's nice of them to go buy a house and say, well, hey, I did that, I mowed that lawn, I fixed that fence, I did the siding, I did the bathroom in that house or something like that. That helps people to build up their self-esteem, plus they're helping to get a skill.
Are you in a location? I mean, do you have an office, so to speak?
Yes, I have the portable building at New Day Fellowship Church.
Oh, I knew
There's a
that.
couple-
Yes,
There's a couple
yes, I
of
forgot.
portables in the back, so I have most of my business is running out of there. Unfortunately, I was one who was forced out because I didn't have my plumbing on me first. And so luckily I can work from home, so. But, you know, it happens to everybody. And unfortunately, these disasters, natural disasters seem to get more and more crazy, should I say. You know, and you know, with this winter storm, I noticed that the only way to get out of the east side of Temple is maybe to go down Adams, but there's still a small incline. So you can go over 24th, you can go over 8th Street. So I think things like this we can look at while we're revitalizing Temple, look at the infrastructure for future building. I know there's a large deep pipe running through part of the east side of Temple. You know, maybe we look at that before we can start development, that kind of stuff.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate you being here.
No problem. Any more
And
questions?
your interest, very much.
Absolutely.
And well, beyond your interest, what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to continuing.
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Me too, man.
Family Christian.
He's gonna be terrible to be with.
Just.
Maybe excuse him.
That's not really what I want.
That's what I say, I got your product.
Yeah.
There's just not enough orange for it.
Like, I can't wear solely maroon all the time, guys.
95 times out of 100, UT beats us.
Oh, yeah.
But just,
Enjoy it.
just.
Enjoy it,
Say
David.
95.
This has been going on since 9:00.
Oh, my gosh.
15%.
I specifically brought my cup.
I thought
Just to
that.
let you know.
I specifically pulled up purple.
See, that's really kind of more terracotta.
Yeah, true.
And UT is more orange, even than
Right.
terracotta.
Yeah, I agree, so that's what I'm calling mine.
Karen, what else did you signed up for something else? What was it?
It was neighborhood revitalization and then parks as my
Yes, I
second.
thought parks.
Did you have a first choice?
I would say neighborhood revitalization.
Aren't you on Parks now?
No, we've got, Fabian on there, I believe.
Okay,
Okay, so Cameron, pretty simple process. We've got 3 questions that we ask, and Tiffany, you answer the other 2 as you're answering the first one. So this is 15 minutes. Just dive in as you see fit. So first off, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on either parks or neighborhood revitalization.
Sure, so, I'm originally from Salado, but a few years back, I came back to Temple and kind of determined that this would be home base. And so, my wife and I actually made that decision together, and we said, if we're gonna stay, we are going to do our part and contribute.
So
So
guys, we met her wife,
yeah.
Jordan.
Sure.
last Monday, yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
She was a good interview.
Great,
Really
pleasure to
interesting.
hear it, yeah. And so we kind of, I started by joining Leadership Temple. I went through the 2019-2020 course, and it's an amazing program. I learned a lot, and I was actually set to be the curriculum chair this past year, but then we had to skip it due to COVID, so I'll do it again this year. But the next logical step to me was to join a board, and it just so happened that when I started looking into it, we were in the process of moving, so we moved 1 mile from North 4th Street to North 9th.
In the rain.
Yeah, in the rain, that's true, that's right, yes. All of 1 mile just to be in the historic district, because, we love everything about it, the character of the homes, the walkability, the neighbors, and we have a number of friends there, and just there's this sense of pride that comes with the historic district and loyalty, very loyal, everybody, if you live there and you own a business downtown, you are using that business and you are, helping your neighbors. And I just think everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves to love where they live and to be proud of their neighborhood. And so it was kind of coincidental that, right when I was looking, they created this board, because I think it is really important. So. And then just to touch, like I said, I did apply for parks too, to touch on that. I think they kind of go hand in hand, because, parks can be a little underrated, but we spend 70% of our lives working, but the other 30, part of the week is trying to enjoy and relax where you live. And, we're pushing the love where you live and play. And so the play part is important, I think, so.
Very good. What skills, talents, or experience will you bring to this position?
Sure. So I started my career at RT Schneider Construction as an intern while I was going to school. So one of my duties was to be the point of contact for their HOA over at Southern Draw, which as a college student was probably ill-equipped for, but I feel like I gained some really valuable experience there, because I have experience being a point of contact and serving residents. So I think that was important. And from there, I took a detour and went into banking. Wendell and I actually did a little bit of work together. Wendell, I don't know if you remember me. I was at the accounting office, San Waco, but that was kind of where I decided, I worked at Central National Bank for a couple of years and decided I was still living in Temple. And so I decided I either need to move to Waco and commit, or come back and work in Temple and commit to being in Temple. And so that's just what I did. So now I'm
You made the right choice.
yeah, it was wonderful. I loved it there, but I also love it here. I'm the controller at KP Engineers now. And so, like I said, we just have fully committed, and I'm a CPA, so I feel like I can
bring a finance perspective, but also just that unique set of experiences and perspective of having been through some construction, some banking, and then right back to civil engineering, where I've been able to witness some of their projects, no engineer, but they try not to hold it against me.
So you're
That's right,
doing,
they can't count, so.
Yeah, exactly.
you're doing, CPA type stuff at KPA.
I'm not public, but yes, I'll run
Well, no.
financials and that sort of
Fine,
thing. Yeah.
okay. Not CPA stuff, that's very rudely
You,
stated, but you understand what I'm saying.
Bless you, bless all of them. We're good with accounting.
I couldn't come up with the word accounting, I don't know what was wrong with me, but I knew what I was trying to say, thank you for understanding.
I think that's what my mom says as well. He's like, I just know I'm proud of you and you do CPA things.
And you have a job.
Yeah, right.
Well, with a really good firm.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Very good.
absolutely love it there, so.
What would you like to accomplish as a board member?
I think number one is communication. I think it's important to be a liaison, to residents and to relay what their wants and needs are. And I think it's important going the other way as well. I think a lot of residents don't know the process to get some of these things accomplished and that it takes time. And I think it's important to relay back to them that they've been heard and that there are steps being taken, just kind of keeping people updated on the process. My second would be just basic access to city services, roads, water, wastewater, the basics. And then third is beautification. I think that circles back around to the pride portion, and I know the name of the program is Love Where You Live, and I think if you can address all of those needs and tie that back together, I think that each neighborhood has something that is unique to its area. And like I said, I love mine specifically, but there are other aspects about other neighborhoods that everybody else loves, and I think it's important to serve the need of every different type of resident, so.
Did you grow up here like Jordan?
I'm from Salado, so I was
So
nearby.
that's what you
Yeah.
said, so you grew up in Salado?
Right,
Okay.
yeah, and then I went to UMHB,
Okay.
but I've lived in the area for a long
Sure.
time, but yeah, it was only, a couple of years ago that I really, like I said, committed to knowing more about the inner workings of Temple, and like I said, Leadership Temple was amazing for that, because you just don't even realize, what's going on, so.
Right in your own backyard.
Right,
Okay. Well, do you have any questions for us?
I guess just timeline, I know you have a lot of interviews
Yeah.
to do, so,
But we've been doing a lot of interviews.
yeah.
We're on the downhill side.
So we started, I don't know, Thursday week, I think. But 91 total interviews. We're gonna wrap those up this week and make some appointments.
Okay.
So, and then ultimately at our April 1st meeting, coincidentally falls on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, we're not fooling.
We're appointing people to boards on April Fool's Day. But, and that's when the appointments will take place. And,
Great.
we've made a decision that folks can't serve on more than 2 boards. So, but I think that there's room for everyone somewhere. It's been very encouraging. One thing, let me back up. One frustration that we've had is it seems like we were appointing the same faces, right? The same
Right.
people to the same boards for years.
Mhm.
And this new board and commission process has been, I think, very productive. Because we are going to be able to tap into people like you and people like Jordan and, people that maybe haven't served with the city. And we're gonna give them a voice.
Right.
And I'm very excited about that. So, all of these boards will be tasked, it won't, the person interviewed before, she said, I serve on lots of boards and, but I only stay on the ones that are active.
Oh, okay.
And so these will be active boards. So, we appreciate, you sort of have an insight into what we do working over at KPA also.
Right, a little bit,
Yeah,
I just get to see the final product a lot of the
Right.
times.
But a lot of people don't even see that.
Right, and that's where I go back to the communication part. I
Mhm.
think it's, like I said, people don't realize how much everything costs and,
Mhm.
how long it takes to get all these things done. So I think
That's right.
that's important.
A
to
lot of
relay.
residents don't care how much it costs, as long as it doesn't affect their tax bill.
Right,
But they want it done.
right.
And that there's that huge gap of communication. How do you prioritize? Where do you prioritize? What is the
Exactly.
highest need? What happens when you can't do X until A, B, C, and D, and E are done?
Right, well, even so, they're working on the neighborhood planning district for my home right now. And so, there's a survey that goes out, and so I sent it to my neighbors and said, hey, squeaky wheel gets the oil, so please do go fill this out, and, heard back. Well, I see that, the historic district plan is talking about cutting down trees. They're not gonna cut down my 100-year-old pecan trees, are they? And I'm like, no, that you're missing the point, as long as it's not a danger to anyone and it's not dead, then they're not gonna come cut down your tree, so I think it's about, pointing the message towards what the actual goal is and not getting distracted,
Yeah.
by these other.
Cameron, we get enough telephone calls without cutting down anybody's tree.
Yes, exactly.
Do you happen to know Slough Drive out in South Temple?
I think I know where that is.
Sometimes just drive out and look at the huge, gorgeous, fabulous tree in the middle of the road.
Oh, okay.
Go
And-
further around.
Every time problems come up out there, we want this problem fixed, but don't touch the tree.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the road literally is essentially paved around this tree.
Right.
So,
I hear you.
So if you had a choice between parks or the neighborhood revitalization, did you already ask this? Did you try to ask?
I would
them?
choose the
said this
neighborhood
one.
revitalization.
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Sorry.
would you be willing to serve on both?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's two is, we have two boards as a limit.
That'd be great.
I
What
don't,
else?
I can't remember what our need is, but we'll just keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. We appreciate you being
Thank
here.
y'all. I appreciate y'all's time. I know y'all are busy in your normal lives as well, so I appreciate y'all taking time out to interview 91 of us. All
Cameron, good visit.
right, thank you. Nice to meet you as well. Y'all have a good one.
Say hello to
Bye.
Jordan.
I sure will.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I do.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
good.
Away from school something. Oh, this is different. Who are you? What are you doing here?
All right, well, I'll tell you what, this is a pretty simple process. We've got 3 questions we're gonna ask you, and, so fire away. First off is tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on this board.
Well, I've been here for about 20 years now. My husband is from Temple, and we moved here exactly 20 years ago. I didn't know much about the community at first. My husband works at Scott and White. I used to I go to graduate school at Mayo Clinic in Rochester and trained in biology and chemistry. So hadn't really been familiar with public service until recently. But we have 3 kids that have grown up here and been in TISD. And we've really been glad that we've stayed in the community. We had some opportunities to leave. And now we look back and just are glad that we're here.
Good, thank y'all for that, and for educating your kids through TISD and living in Temple.
And your time on the board. I mean, really, so important and so good for TISD. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. And you asked about my interest in serving, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I wasn't really intending early on to go into public service, but I decided to stay home and take care of our children, and then it just naturally happened. I always served through our church, more hands-on, feeding with sheep and Sunday school teaching, and then when the opportunity for school board came up, it was scary, but the more I learned about the process and the people, the more comfortable it was. And I can see now that the city works in a lot of the same way as the district. And I think that I'm good at listening to people and helping make decisions that
Where do you
hopefully
live?
benefit
I'm
everyone.
sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Where do you live?
We live in Deerfield.
In Deerfield. The District 3?
7. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Everything's the word.
I'm making school.
Yeah. So I think Susan Luck,
Yes.
she's the one that visited with Shannon and kind of recommended that she look at this, because there are so many ties to these different neighborhood districts to the school, to all the different ISD schools.
That was a
So
great
it's-
idea.
Yeah, it's nice to have someone.
That was gonna be my
being
question. Why this?
Right. Well, I didn't know about the project till Susan told me. I guess I had my head buried in district business and didn't know that this was happening. In fact, when she told me about it in December, I tried to look online at the videos and I had trouble accessing it. But then when this opportunity came up again, I tried again and got to see all the videos and I just it's very exciting. I got excited about the effort that's gone into this already and the opportunity to help with it if I can.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that TISD connection with kids
But
living in different.
that, absolutely, because as Tim described to one of the previous applicants, that we started with the downtown because we put so much energy and effort into downtown, and then moving out from downtown, ancillary neighborhoods went after downtown to Ferguson. And in many ways, we've begun to look first at neighborhoods that are older and have the most need. Very logical. Nothing is happening out in District 3. We don't have a lot of need other than at the mall. And there's a lot of development and plans and ideas going on in that area.
That's okay. I care about the whole. city.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Susan's point of the connectivity between TISD and the older neighborhoods is so important and such a great idea on her part. Like the light bulb really went off in her head with that.
So what skills, talent, or experience do you think you would bring to the position? You mentioned good listening. What else?
Right. Well, I guess with my training, I'm good at looking at data. And it looks like I'm just so impressed with the way you decided to poll the community and look at so many different areas of their lives and to try to discern what communities want and what they need. And so I think I'm good at looking at that data and helping to draw conclusions. I do like to, I hope that I'm a good listener and process and make good decisions. I know that I'm nervous right here, but in a general meeting situation, I think I handle myself well as far as compromise and communicating. So,
You don't seem nervous.
well,
Don't.
I should have kept my mask on, but I'm so used to hiding the past year. But
I know we
We all are.
So what would you like
Good
to,
thing.
what would you like to accomplish as a board member?
I think I would like to help Temple keep its momentum, maybe. It's probably my favorite thing about Temple. When we first moved here, my favorite thing was just naturally what you would look for when you move somewhere, cost of living, kind people, things like that. But I've just seen such a huge change in Temple in the last 20 years with improvements, selections in restaurants and activities, beautification. And I would like to help keep that momentum if I can, because it's exciting to me.
Do you have any questions for us?
If I were appointed to the board, can you tell me, on the school board, we prepare for meetings, and of course, that's a lot of reading. We also, if we want to, we make phone calls to people asking questions. Is that something that is expected and allowed, or is it more you prepare for the meeting by reading the material and showing up? And most of the work gets done after the meeting.
You know, that's actually a very good question. You know, you'll receive an agenda every time, and then I think we would probably leave that to you as a board member as to the homework or phone calls or anything like that that you feel like you might need to do in order to prepare well for the meeting.
Yeah, and that is encouraged. I mean, more
Okay, that's
input, the
what I-
better.
Absolutely.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I do like to prepare. I like to do homework. I like to make sure I understand things before I get there. And I wouldn't want to be annoying or seem like I was interfering or.
No, and you've met Nancy Glover before. She's,
I don't know if I met her. I saw
think
her on
you
the
saw her.
videos.
Okay, yeah. She's a rock star. She's fantastic, but she is open to everyone's ideas. So monthly they meet, it's about an hour and a half and they dig in. So it is very much a working board. I think it's something you would enjoy.
You know, that's funny that you would ask, or you would say that you don't want to be an annoyance. You're not an annoyance on the school board, right? You're there to work and to, well,
Absolutely.
but I mean, my point is you're there to work and to drive something, right? You're a board member. Same thing here. You're a board member. So, you know, whoever's selected to this, we want you to stand up. We want you to have good ideas. We want you to be confident, prepared, you know, all those things that you do for the school board, same thing you're gonna do right here. So, absolutely.
I think
The
this,
difference is it's an advisory. So y'all will be making decisions and suggestions that work their way to the council for final decisions. But y'all are our ears and eyes and brain power, you know, to dig into those things and make recommendations.
Do community members often come to these meetings and give input? I guess they don't, are they allowed to give input? Maybe not. Once
I'm
they're-
sure they
Sorry,
can.
some ad libs.
But we have seen Kelly and Nancy, they go into the neighborhood
Right,
and
and ask
they
questions.
poll and they go door to door, yeah. So I'm sure they would be happy if someone wanted to come in and, you know,
Sure.
I'm sure
Their
they
two
would
cents.
welcome it.
yeah.
Because a lot of times the neighborhood surveys, the more people that can help with the surveys, the better off.
Right.
You know, it doesn't take as long. And a lot of those are done on weekends and that kind of thing. So there's, the need for people is high. And I'm sure also for you, living in District 3, you may want to familiarize yourself more with some of these neighborhoods, more than you may be at this point.
We do drive on the school board once a year. We drive
Yes.
through and talk about the different neighborhoods and sometimes, we'll definitely tour all the schools once a year.
Sure.
They had good response with the polls and the neighborhoods
it-
actually.
I think Crestview and Ferguson Park really got a lot of traction and then COVID hit. And they just couldn't gather like they could. The historic district, I think, was the last one that they had, and that was
That was
also
very good.
very well attended. But yeah, then the COVID hit and they're trying to do things, you know, on YouTube channels and it.
And
it's
surveys that
different.
people can send back or respond to, as you said, YouTube and the city website, which is much harder.
And a number of the neighborhoods that they're doing right now aren't well populated with residents. It's a lot of businesses. And so that makes it a little more difficult too. But we're about to get back into doing Bel Air right now. So it should make its way back around to the residences again. And everything should open up, but we should,
Right.
you know, get more input face to face.
How long have you been on the board now?
3.5 years.
You just
Right.
ran again, didn't you?
Right.
Unopposed.
Right. Actually, that was this time last year is when I was unopposed. I came on just 2 months before Dr. Battershell announced her retirement.
I think you took Jennifer's place.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Well, anything else for us? Council, anything for Ms. Myers?
No.
We appreciate you being here.
Okay, well, thanks for considering me, and I really would like to help if there's a place for me. So thank you.
Thank you for your interest.
Yeah, very much. Good to see you.
Did you know Robin wrote the neck this winter? Yeah.
She fall.
No, tractor accident, her limb landed on her neck. She's fine. But I didn't know that until I saw her and by then she was fine.
You know, your mom always says, you'll break your neck, you know?
Feel free to take your mask off if you're comfortable.
Yes.
All right, sir. You know everybody here,
Yes,
obviously.
yes.
So let's just dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on this board.
Well, by myself, I'll be 59 this year.
Young guy.
Of course, pastor of a local church, not only that, but in various difference of the boards that's here in Temple, and not only that, but love to serve and people person, always willing to adapt to whatever the necessity is at the present moment, and not to try to hold any grudges. Ooh, it's hard. Anything else you want to know? Live on the north side of town.
See what else? So DEI and neighborhood revitalization. Is that right? Those are the
Yes.
two boards. Just wanted to make sure I have them both here.
So if you were going to serve on one of those, which one would it be? Of DEI and neighborhood revitalization? What's your number one choice?
I think I'm already on the DEI on the executive side. I think I am. Am I? I thought it was, because it was myself, Drake, Elliott, Ron
That's with the
Henry.
chamber.
Okay, it's with Chamber. Okay.
Yeah, that's with the chamber. We're talking about the city board.
Okay, Georgia.
Yeah.
Either that or I'll go to revitalization if I only have one to serve.
Okay.
You live in what, District 1?
District 1.
Well, we're neighbors. You're at what?
I'm on Royal.
Royal and what's the?
11th Royal.
11th.
11th Royal.
Kind of a red brick, orange brick house.
Yes.
Would you have the daycare in District 2?
Yes, sir. Same location of the,
Another property across from the Osley
yes.
Center.
Yes. And also, we still got 213 also that we're renovating, trying to sell that. Behind the GB's up for Adams.
Oh, yes.
Right across from the old school.
Yes,
You're trying to sell that?
yes, sir, but we have some money there now, it's
Jackson.
yes,
Steve Jackson. We interviewed Mr. Jackson, the guy, he was a 33-year UPS.
Yes, no, I know. who
Yeah,
you are.
so that's who's in that location.
Oh, that, yeah, he told us that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So other than not holding grudges, what other skills, talent, or experience would you bring to this position?
Well, I have my doctorate in biblical studies and in Christian counseling.
Okay.
So. It's a little plus, half a plus.
You've been very involved with this board before it
Yes,
became a board.
yes, sir.
I've seen you at enough for the meetings.
What would you like to accomplish as a board member?
I would like to shape the future of Temple. What it has been, but just reshape it a little bit. By not only voicing the opinion, but to be boots on the ground, trying to get it done. And if I'm outvoted, oh well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't get upset because I'm outvoted, because being the church pastor, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't pay no attention. I don't think much.
There you go. You could be me.
I'm 51%.
As far as
And
being
not holding
outvoted, I'm not-
grudges.
Right, exactly.
Which is probably the best thing anybody can do in life,
Yes,
in many, many ways.
yes. It brings bad tension. And then plus, especially if you see individuals somewhere, it just kind of brings it back to your remember. So you just gotta bypass it, keep moving.
Yep, grudges are motivating so much of what's going on in the world today.
Stress does kill
called
you.
lots of things other than grudges, but it amounts to grudges and competition.
Yes, yes.
Pastor Beaman, do you have any questions for us?
No, I did my homework and know about your background and everything, so it's all good. So I appreciate that. I forgot to, see my address and put the, I was in Houston this week,
Okay,
so
well, so that's Royal and
611 West Royal.
Campaign
Chubik's
size.
old house,
Yes.
Whose old house is that?
Chubik's.
That's your home address, 611 Royal.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
We've been there, a little over 20 years.
Okay.
If you're there 40 years, they'll start calling it your house.
The Beaman house.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just know the Chubbuck house. that's a
Yeah.
Chubbuck.
I get it all the time.
You have to outlive the previous owner.
So who was there before the Chubbucks?
Who knows?
Somebody from, used to be from Wilson, or been there like a year and a half, then they got promoted somewhere upstate.
There ain't nobody.
Jordan Hampton,
So the house
They're
was vacated for about 2 years.
Really?
Oh,
And before then,
between that owner and the Chubbucks, you mean, or the
no,
Chubbucks?
between us and
Oh,
previous owner.
Hmm.
And before then, we lived at 2501 North Fourth, and Xavier.
Okay.
And before then, we lived on 101 Ruggles.
man,
Before then, 912 South 28th Street.
How old are you?
I'm 59. Before then, 417 Sounder Street, Belton, Texas. Now,
how can you remember all these addresses?
I'm good with numbers.
And the other side of the coin is we don't know if he just made those.
That's funny. All right, listen, we know you. So we appreciate you willing to serve. We also appreciate what you've done long-term in the community. I know that your church is over on the east side, and y'all, good outreach.
Yes.
Thank you for working over there.
And we got phase 1 through 4 coming up on the 35.41 acres. So we just gonna
You mean for church expansion?
church expansion. Brent and I are looking at putting a store on the property right across the street from the Veteran Center. We're talking about.
South of Wayman Manor,
Yes, yes.
south of the cross, that big open
Yes.
field south of Crossland.
Are you on that field now?
Yeah, church.
Oh, okay. Good. When did you move the church from the building across from the old TISD headquarters?
About 4 years ago.
4 years ago? Okay. I got to know you when I was on the school board and Beto was the superintendent
Yes, ma'am.
at that point. You were very much still there, very active there.
Cutting the grass every day.
And supported him in a way the community did not. No, I was very appreciative of that because they had a lot of problems.
I always give
From the community, he had problems.
people a chance,
Yes,
you know.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I don't look at the history. I just say, okay, being a pastor, you have to, go by what you know now, not what they used to do.
right,
Because anybody can change.
that's right.
So I always give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, if they don't.
No grudges, you said
No,
no.
I don't hold grudges, but they can't hold none in the office. There's a way around that.
That's funny. All right, I think that's it. Unless you have something for us or council.
No, I mean, you all doing a wonderful job. I know pressure's put up on you all on a daily basis and, they'll tell you, if you don't vote my way, we voted you in, we vote you out, all this crazy. So I understand it.
We just tell them, have at it.
Yeah.
How fast can you vote us out? We'd like that.
But I appreciate what you all doing. You all, it's special. So,
We appreciate that very much.
Very much.
This process will go on the rest of this week with interviews. Sometime next week, some decisions will be made. So you'll be hearing back from the city in a fairly short order.
yes. And if I'm not chose, I'm fine. I'm not gonna hold no grudges and throw rocks or eggs at the place and take Tim Davis,
Sign out.
sign up from me.
That's right. Focus on Tim.
But you don't hold the grudge. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
You're in.
Right up with the lawnmower.
There you go.
You won't be the only one.
No,
All right.
that's it. But thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for allowing me
Thank you
to
so much.
stand before you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh,
I can make it.
oh, I just see it. I
Yeah.
just see it. Here you are.
Hi,
Right here.
how are you?
I'm good.
Now, most people have a PowerPoint presentation. You don't have anything today?
I do, but you have me backwards.
Oh, yeah.
You want to turn around and face the screen?
Sure, I'd like to. It's good to see all of you, but it's good to see you next week. Appreciate it, yes. Wow.
It's been a haul, but I'm here.
I'm glad.
Very
You're okay with it.
Yes.
good.
All you have to do is rip the necklace off and give it to me and you can have anything you want.
That's easy.
Beautiful.
Gosh, thank you. May I just say up front, thank you for doing this. Thank you. I know many of the boards are already established, so it's probably easier to seek qualified community to serve. But with these new ones, I know you've got full-time jobs and you've got a full-time job, so.
Well, we
Thank
revamped
you.
every single board.
Yeah.
Every,
So you are doing it for every single board?
yes,
Oh, my.
it's a lot.
91,
It's a lot, but
94
it's been a
hours.
great process.
Well,
We're interviewing each
I-
one.
It's
I
been a very good process.
very,
It's been
very much
wonderful.
appreciate.
Susan, we've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much.
So Susan was the chair of the committee before it became the board. So,
Before it became a
yes,
board?
yes. So she knows all the ins and outs.
Oh, watch out. Yeah, when you'll ask me a question.
This is the only one you signed up for, correct?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
You live in what district? Susan? What district do you live in?
District one.
One.
We always talk
Historic
about,
district.
that I own the house that Jessica used to live in.
Oh, okay.
Jessica lived in the house, the Lux used to, so we've all three lived in the same house for years.
And before the Lux, it was the Bruners. And it was only the
Who built it?
Bruners.
It's-
Yeah.
Brunner's parents built it and then they died and then he continued to live there the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And then we bought it from his estate.
What's so unique about that house is he was the local tinsman. So the house has tin on the walls, tin on the ceiling, it's a beautiful pressed tin, it's just gorgeous. It's kind of hell on getting reception. Yourself.
Well, he wasn't worried about the
Yeah,
internet.
no, he was not.
And obviously neither were the Lux.
It's fun living there.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
each of us have put our personality into it and I've enjoyed it to its full extent.
well, yes, and the Davises allowed our granddaughter to come through and it was so fun to hear Jennifer talking about their home. It was so neat to have that story spun, because she had already heard the grandparent story, so she was more interested in the Davis story anyway. So here we are,
We're never
revitalization.
living, Jennifer loves that place.
Oh, we do too.
I'm almost embarrassed to ask you these questions, but I have to anyway. We're asking the same questions of everybody. So, Ms. Luck, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're serving on this board.
I would have said before this board, if everybody could have an opportunity to serve on planning and zoning, they should beat down the door to serve. Not only to give, but to learn. Incorporating this committee
is all about what you see as the vision of the community. To me, that you value not only the growth, but the history of every area, and that's what it is. Whether you live in Crestview area, or you grew up on North Side, or in the TMAD area, every single section of town is important. And I love getting the opportunity to look at its history and the revitalization, because I can promise you, the people that live in the house I did part of my growing up on South 11th, they don't care what we did along the creek, because now it's a drainage ditch, which is serving the community better. But they do care about what you're going to do about it from this day forward. And so it has to have that full connection to the community, and you're making each one have worth and sustainability. And it's been a real joy, not only to go down a little path of personal history of the different areas, but it also is a really new process to learn more about the workings of what you do every week, to tie in those plans with comprehensive plan and what y'all see the vision. So I'm thrilled that I was asked to be on that committee, joining in. And just as a side note, when you grow up in Temple in the period of time I did, I don't know if Wendell's mother and daddy felt the same way, but I know this child's family said if I ever got on 190 or the Lake Road, they'd take my car away.
The big road.
And I was definitely a compliant child. So I say that only to say I've learned a lot about West Temple that I never knew about West Temple. So don't ask me anything about history, because I do not know about West
My
Temple.
father had a different viewpoint. He let me ride my bicycle from Zenith Avenue to Lakeville down the Lake Road. Well, I don't know if he wanted me to explore, or is he hoping I get run over? We never had that conversation.
That's quite a haul on my bicycle.
That is a haul.
Yeah, but the fun part was you come down the hill at Temple Lake Park, and you really get up going fast and go all the way to the beach, right into the water.
Oh,
We're going up the hill.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Don't worry, Wendell, I did that just fine on Suicide Hill.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't even drive on Suicide Hill. It scares me too much. Literally, I can't do it. Well, you haven't ridden with me. No, I won't. I mean, did that answer your question?
Yes, very well.
Very well.
What would you like to accomplish as a board member? Being that this is the only application you put in, you're obviously excited about this one.
I am. I want to see, I would really love the opportunity to see it through. We all love the plans, and I know they're conceptual to a point, but I'm really ready to live it through to the end. There's, I believe, 14 different areas. We're just 18. We're just getting started. And that's not the whole city. No, that's true. That's just
Your other childhood neighborhood isn't part of it.
but it will be.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'd really love the opportunity to see it through. But I love the input of also new members to the community. We're all community. It doesn't matter if you've lived here 1 week, 1 month, or 25 years. And to me, the biggest compliment we can have as a community is someone value and miss when they leave our community. If they haven't bought into community, I think some people don't, but I think for the most part, people are just a little timid, but they love it when they do. Susan, we told you that we've had 94 applicants for these boards and commissions. We've been, at least I've been very surprised and thrilled at how many new residents that have discovered this through the city website, through social media. And they've come in and they want to serve. They want to get involved. They want to know the community further. It's wonderful. And younger people that are coming forward as leaders. It's wonderful.
I'm really glad to hear
Yeah.
that.
And thank you
Really
for recommending this board to Shannon Myers, and your great idea that ties into TISD neighborhood, where kids come from. Like a wonderful idea. It was such a good idea on your part.
Thank you. Thank you. It just kept calling to me, wait a minute, where are they? I mean,
Perfect.
thank you, thank you.
So you've chaired the committee previously. What do you see, what are the traits of sort of the right board member on this committee?
For this committee specifically,
Yes.
I think it has been helpful that we've had several who have history of part of the community. Or when I say history, I don't mean longevity as much as a more active base in one part of the community than another. We've had members who probably are very different thinkers than myself. And, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a nuts and bolts type person. I do have a little bit of creativity, but, if we all painted pictures, mine would be pretty nuts and bolts, where yours probably would be a little more creative in nature, and we need that type of thinker on this committee also.
Visionary.
I love having the thinkers that will do their homework. They haven't lived here and they bring with them a full tank of ideas from another, or they have embraced looking and talking with others in other communities. I think we really need a combination of all of those. But I don't discount, my feeling is I would never want to discount the person that has the opportunity to make a difference in their area. They may not have the exposure or the interest to make a difference in West Temple, but they are committed and they see the needs in their own little area, whether they serve on the board or whether we might bring them in to have them be active when we do that area. I would never want to discount the value that brings. And I think we have members of that also.
Good.
but the surveys you all have been doing, as each neighborhood gets looked at, the surveys have brought people out and
Yes.
opened people's eyes, and people thought, somebody who sat here earlier said, oh, they do care about us. You never did before, but now you do.
For those of us that lived here, I don't know, y'all may feel differently, but as you look over some of those survey results from an area, and I'll mention it, the one that I went, oh, okay, North Bel Air. There were a couple of different ideas, and I thought, oh, we've all lived here this long, and we never saw what could be. It's like we get tunnel vision
Yes.
sometimes. So it was so cool to see what survey and people involved in that area. And I think people are going to find that by getting information from those surveys.
Yeah, the surveys are so important,
Mhm.
so important.
Mhm.
How do you transfer the aspect in a neighborhood where people feel like, well, the city should take care of these things for us? And there are things to improve the park and improve some things in there. But how do you then transfer it to where the citizens in that neighborhood take pride, take ownership, and take action themselves to improve things?
Wendell,
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
I know,
I don't
no.
know the answer.
I don't know
I'm curious.
either.
I was gonna say,
I
if he
know-
knows the answer to that, you're the next city
In
manager.
in the areas in which we have been, that we have lived. And I'm talking from young to now. The key ingredient, every single neighborhood, whether it be South 11th, Pecan, North Side, Jackson Park area, the key ingredient was people getting to know one another. Finding an outlet, and usually it was some kind of meal. All together, bring your meal to Jackson Park. And all of a sudden you have 50 people there, but you ask somebody, they ask somebody, and you only thought there'd be about 20, but you're so glad that you could feed the 5,000 type thing. The historic district's been different, growing up, and that was a different time in the 60s and 50s and 60s, so where people protected each other's kids. But to me, that ingredient is begin bonding as neighbors and taking pride. And I don't mean pristine homes. I mean, if you see Mr. Williams needing something done on his house, you're right out there to help him. It's a reaching out, and you have to nurture that.
I think there's certain neighborhoods in our community that have that sense of
I do.
togetherness and neighborhood. There are other neighborhoods that do not. That's where the real challenge. We had a gentleman here earlier said that he bought and redid a house and hoping that people would kind of take the hint and start doing some improvements, and it didn't happen. So the real test of this to me will not be only what the city can funnel to jumpstart things, but how do you ingrain in the citizens, at least a portion of the citizens of the neighborhood, that taking of pride and that changing and revitalizing the neighborhood? Don't have an answer, but that's a challenge that this world will have.
And I thank you. I would take that seriously. The first place I'd go with it is down on South 21st, South 23rd, because they are making a difference and for bonding a neighborhood. And why? They're not waiting for the city in certain areas. That would be one that I certainly think would be the one that would sustain answering that part. And
There doesn't
I would
point in
hope-
time that all of our pretty pictures and all our projects will be done. But then what happens to the neighborhood after that is going to be in the hands, to a large degree, of the people in the neighborhood.
Exactly.
Well, and also bringing change to the neighborhood that doesn't shove everybody out who's been there forever.
That's huge.
Gentrification is good, wonderful for tax base and wonderful for beautification, and horrible for people who've been there forever. You know that Travis Science Academy, one of the thrusts of that and hopes was that would revitalize the neighborhood surrounding it in a good way. But then how do you control gentrification? I don't think anybody has an answer to that. No city that I know of in the country that's had massive gentrification has controlled it in any way, shape, or form.
And I probably lean toward knowing about two bigger cities than
Yes, of
here in
course.
that.
Those
You're
cities have
exactly right.
built tent cities under bridges for the homeless. And a lot of the homeless have been shoved out of the neighborhoods that have been gentrified. And you can buy a starter property for $2 million now.
Well, Susan, you're one that we can talk to forever because
I was going to say,
your heart is here and we so appreciate everything that you
Well,
You know that, but
thank you.
we need to say it more often.
Well, here, I'm challenged. Thank you for doing that. But that is
We have different
extremely
neighborhoods at
important.
different levels. And we've got to work to bring it all to the same.
Exactly. I agree totally.
Thank you for coming today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Susan, what is the name of that couple, the couple that bought the Daniels house? What's their name again?
Deborah Wilson and Randall Evans. And the name of her company is Engaging Solutions out of Indianapolis. She's an urban planner. And her major thrust has been transportation and comprehensive planning.
Go meet her.
Obviously, you don't know them well.
She said she met him on her walk. And now she
And now
knows.
she knows all about it.
I asked the right question.
There's 9 members, right?
We gotta have 8 for the group.
Committees have alternates. They have alternates on these committees.
Come on in.
Hello. Probably.
Everybody right there, front.
And if you'd like to take your mask off, I'm more than welcome to. If you don't have to. I appreciate it. Good to have it off.
Yes, it sure does. All right, how's everybody doing this morning?
Very well.
Good, good.
Do you know everybody or anybody here?
I know Miss Morales, and I think that sums it up.
I'm
Wendell
Susan
Williams,
Long.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Susan Long,
Okay, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Susan is the council member for kind of the south end of town,
Okay,
the mall out south.
all down south. Okay,
1993,
okay. All right,
well, actually, a little across 93, but that area.
sure. Were they annexed off of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Wendell Williams. I'm District 4, which is West.
All right, nice to meet you.
I'm Tim Davis, the mayor.
Okay, good deal.
Judy, is it Kim?
Yes, ma'am. You as well, you as well.
And then Jessica is on a telephone call. She'll be here shortly.
Okay,
She is sort of the north end of town, the north and west end of town.
okay,
So,
all right.
so
Where do you
live? I live in Miss Morales' district. I live in that beautiful old farmhouse at the corner of 22nd and French.
You did it.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't visualize it.
Beautiful.
Slowly but surely, we're getting there with it.
I've owned a couple of those
Oh,
houses.
man, I tell you what, that freeze, it was one problem after the other.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh, sorry to hear that.
it happens.
So is it Longino?
Longino, yes,
Is that
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, Caleb, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on this board.
Sure. So I guess let's clarify first. Is this for neighborhood revitalization and buildings and standards?
It is.
Okay,
One to review both
sure.
committees are up.
Nice and easy. So I'm a little bit younger, as y'all might know. I have lived
Which
in.
we like.
Yeah.
We have a real desire to get younger people, newer people that are in the community involved and develop and stay involved.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So me and my wife have lived in Temple since 2017, February 2017. We moved down here. We came from Round Rock, which it was time to get out of the rat race and decided to come up here and try to enjoy it a little bit more. Professionally, I maintain a full-time job as a firefighter for the city of Georgetown and commute back and forth. On top of that, we own a construction company, L Enterprises, Inc. We've been in business since 2007. I inherited operations of that from my father, who passed away a couple of years ago. We have shifted operations of that business from Mineola, Texas, which is about an hour and a half east of Dallas. We have shifted operations to Temple. We have built four brand new homes in Temple on the east side over there in Mr. Morales' district. And currently we have projects going all over Temple. We've got one in the historic district. We've got some
What's the name of the company again?
L Enterprises, Inc.
You've got French and 13th.
French and 13th, yes, sir, 604 North 13th.
So you do renovation as well as.
So we,
building from
yes, we do. We do renovations, but the renovations, we've stopped taking on clients. Any renovation that we do would be a fix and flip scenario where we come in and rehabilitate the home and then turn around and sell it. And what else? We're trying to grow our rental portfolio as well. So a couple of the projects that we have right now are complete rehabs, but we will be holding those.
So you only do renovations on properties you own?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we ran into some problems there for a little while, taking on clients, and it was just turned out it wasn't for us. So
I renovated several houses. I know exactly. I mean, I
Yes,
think I know what
yes.
you mean.
Most businesses are really good if you don't have to mess with them.
absolutely.
Unfortunately, you don't make.
And I'll tell you, being a firefighter, I get plenty of customer service, so I get my fill of that doing that. But no, we thoroughly enjoy living in the Temple area. It's been great. We live on the east side of town, which, unfortunately, from a lot of other people's eyes, it does get a bad rap. You hear, oh, you live on the east side of Temple. I'm like, I hear that from a buddy of mine that lives in Killeen. I'm like, hang on, you live in Killeen. Yeah, about the east side of Temple. But I've spoken with Ms. Morales, and I've sat in on a few of the neighborhood revitalization committee meetings, and it's very impressive to me and my wife to see what the city is being able to do for the east side of Temple. The biggest standout for us is the parks. We've lived in several different cities, and I've never seen the city take care of their parks like the city of Temple does, and that is very much appreciated. And that's a big draw for a lot of people, especially with all the industry moving into town. You're trying to move families in here. And families being able to see all the parks and how well they're taken care of, and the nicer schools that we have, that's just a big draw for people. I'm interested.
You're saying just music things that are so really, I mean, things that we so appreciate.
Yeah, and it's just something that we enjoy. We like where we live. We want to help where we live and to better where we live. And being on the east side of Temple, this gives us that opportunity to further the city. Not only through our construction business, but just me and my wife as people in general. The National Night Out that folks that own a lot down the street from our house do every year, they volunteer up their lot. It's may not be the greatest looking neighborhood in the city, but the people that live over there are absolutely fantastic. I've never had better neighbors than I do in
The Milligans,
Milligans.
they're the ones, where do you live?
I live on the corner of 22nd and French, North 22nd.
Okay,
and
no,
French.
this is part of it.
I've got Herman Hudson. I think Mr. Morales has probably spoken with Mr. Hudson before, and his wife Cynthia. Hands down, best neighbors we've ever had. A lot of people come, they worry about theft and break-ins and this, that, and the other. And that's not the case. That's not what we see. It's an extremely safe neighborhood. But we also want to keep that aspect. And I know that if we don't step in as a city, as a group and continue to improve the neighborhood, then there's a likelihood that it could start sliding down and something like that could happen. But with the boards and commissions that the city has established, I feel that y'all are working absolutely in the right direction to keep that in that. So that's,
So you're applying for 2 different boards.
yes, sir.
If you had to choose one to serve on, which would it be?
That's a tough one. I see great benefit in both of them.
What's the second one again?
The Buildings and
Oh,
Standards
that you
Commission.
said that, sorry.
No, it's okay. That's a tough choice. I would really like to be able to sit on both of those boards if possible. I don't know that I can make a choice between the two. Buildings and Standards strikes me from a different perspective than my neighborhood because it allows to establish better standards throughout the city. Something that we've run into, and it's more specifically to the east side, is the buildings are just falling down around people's ears. And a lot of times it's not necessarily because they don't care about where they live. It's because unfortunately they're not financially able to maintain their homes. But as a city, we have to either be able to step in and help them relocate or help them fix up what they have. And I know there are programs that the city has established to accomplish that. But another problem that we see is people will buy homes that are in desperate need of repair. They just live in it. They just move in and they stay. And as a city, we need to be able to stop that from happening because it's one problem right after the other if you allow that to happen. Another problem is, I'm not going to mention any names, but a certain builder of a multitude of duplexes in the region refuses to take care of those properties adequately. Something for the Buildings and Standards Commission that if I were chosen, that I would like to put forward was a annual or biannual rental inspection program, where the city is allowed to come in on a yearly or biannual basis to inspect rentals to make sure that they are up to current codes. Because if we can't take care of the homes that are currently built in the city, then a lot of times we don't need to be building anything else if we can't take care of what we already have. And that's mainly on the east side of Temple. West side of Temple's all new development. There's great things happening on the west side of Temple. And the city's putting enough money on the east side to draw the business, to draw the community in on the east side, and love to be a part of it.
What would you like to accomplish as a board member? I know you've already answered some of that, but if you have any more thoughts.
Sure. So I would like to continue what the city has going. Transform Temple is an excellent program that we've been able to use and benefit from. And I would like to see that used by more individuals. And I know that it's been growing over the past several years. We were lucky enough, I think, speaking with Chad Buford, we were some of the very first people to take advantage of that program.
And you mean like dumpster drop?
Yes, the dumpster drops, they write off. Yes, the
tool-
mobile tool shed, they write off permitting fees, so when we apply for our permits, our water taps, they help out with those costs. If there are demolition of mowing liens against a property that we wish to build on, the city will forgive those liens for us. That's an excellent incentive to builders. It drew us in. I mean, it hands down got us going on the east side of Temple. More programs like that. I know Miss Glover, Miss Nancy Glover, does work with certain residents. She worked with a lady that lived right across the street from us and getting a new roof. She was in desperate need of a new roof. Miss Glover was able to help her get that new roof. There's a lot of good programs established, and I really just like to reinforce those programs and make sure that they're being utilized to full capacity.
Hey, what's nice that I can see from your perspective is that you're there, right? You live there.
Yes, sir.
And you see the things that are going on.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes as a council, it's difficult for us because we drive through there twice a month. Like you go kind of a boots on the ground.
Absolutely.
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 You have an interesting and probably relevant perspective
So,
You said you're in construction, I'm sorry, I was. like-
yes, no, I'm sorry. Yes, we own L Enterprises Inc. We've been in business since 2007. We do custom homes, we do spec homes, we do rehabs. So we're broad spectrum, and then I'm also a firefighter. for the city of Georgetown. So I'm full plate constantly,
Very
but I love it.
firefighter for Rambo.
Georgetown.
I lived in Round Rock.
Oh, Georgetown.
Yes, we lived in Round Rock. before We moved up there.
But you're a firefighter for Georgetown.
Yes, ma'am.
I misunderstood that.
No, it's okay.
You know, when you first came, you sat down and it was full force standing, you still felt full.
Yeah, full force. I mean, we sat down with you the first time we had been living here for a few months.
Great.
Yeah, and we've been steady at it and hope to keep going until I can't go anymore.
You look young, I think that you've got a
Hopefully so.
lot left.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, sir, not off the top of my head.
Very good.
All right.
You better, don't you have some work to do somewhere?
I absolutely do.
I hope you already have a
Yeah. My first stop here is that property on
Need
13th.
some of that enthusiasm in this room. which is
Yeah,
so-
I'll try.
So,
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Just, you know, the house on the, right there by the, at 13th and French, by those apartments. On the west side, it's a 2-story rock house. They bought that for rehabbing.
Oh.
So after we got the squatters out of
Yeah.
yeah, that was actually an old family member of the people that used to own the place.
Really?
Yeah, it was, we
So
call it,
on the west side of that.
Right.
yes,
The rock
that,
house.
that big
Oh my
2-story
gosh, I
stone house.
noticed it. I drove by there the other day. It's really good.
Yeah,
So that's one
What's
you're
happening?
happening.
yes, ma'am, that
Redo
one will
it,
be
yeah.
for sale after we finish.
I saw the inside of that, just when it was up for
I
sale.
can't believe you, but I just love rock houses. What are you doing about moisture, interior moisture in a rock house?
So interior moisture, what we'll do is we take the vapor barrier, it was plastering inside. So all the plaster's been
That's
removed.
real rock.
Yes, it's
Right,
it's
yeah,
actual,
yeah.
it's an actual stone exterior.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have it down to the studs inside. My guys are finishing that up today and tomorrow. We put a vapor barrier in between the studs and it'll get insulation. So it'll be insulated, vapor barrier, never have problems on it again. It's an awesome house.
And it's just exterior, the potential, let me put it that way.
From the research that we've done, it appears that home was built in 1897.
Oh,
So it's a neat one. It's a neat one.
It has all the modern conveniences, right?
It will. It sure will. And somebody, the previous owner had busted it up and it was being used for multifamily. It was an absolute mess.
so you're putting it back as a single
It will
family.
go back to
What's the square footage?
3,488.
How many bedrooms?
It'll be 3-bedroom, 3.5
Are you
bath. I'm sorry,
looking
four bedroom.
So we have a little lumberyard around the corner, so if you ever need anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
A little lumberyard.
Yeah, come and see us. We can get here I'm doing a pitch, but we can get a salesman on you and get you some good
We've
pricing.
done
So
business
we
before.
appreciate you, doing what you do in the historic district, because it's near and dear to our hearts.
We're gonna keep trying. There's a couple more that we're eyeballing. We're trying to get the old Windland home right now. If we can get this Windland, give us a call. We're trying to purchase that one as well on 3rd Street. So, well, I appreciate y'all's time.
Man,
It was nice meeting all of you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Y'all too. Y'all too.
And as Wendell said, your enthusiasm, it's contagious, very,
We're
very.
good. I hope we can keep it going.
Did we tell you that we've got 16 boards and commissions and 94 applicants? We'll finish all the interviews by the middle of next week, and
Okay.
you'll hear back from us about that following week.
Okay, perfect. All right. I look forward to it, everybody. Thank y'all very much.
Is there someone sitting out there? Would you send him in, Patrick Meehan?
Patrick, yes, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.
We're running behind again.
10 minutes.
We have a gap between 12 and 12:30.
I saw that.
I canceled and Christina tried to get the announcement.
Okay. Hey, come in.
Good morning. How are y'all?
How are you?
Good to see you.
We are so excited about City Eats.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And Katie said she is thinking about, putting a booth in there.
Yes.
Doing her acai, that's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Susan will be happy to hear that, because she loves that acai.
The acai, Katie sent those in to the whole council. Just fabulous.
Nice. Good.
Patrick, you know everybody?
I believe so. Yes, you know everybody.
I know your name, but I don't really, but I'm Susan Long.
Susan Long, yes.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
If we have it, nice to do it today.
Likewise, thank you. Thank you. Wendell Wade. Nice to see you. And of course, Judy, I knew you all my life. All my life, yes. And obviously Tim and Jessica, question time too.
Very good. Well, let's just dive in.
Okay.
But before we do that, thank you for your investment downtown. I know that's not
Yes.
easy, and you've been working on it for a while, some
Yeah.
stops and starts,
Yes,
but thank you for that commitment.
thank you.
Before, at some point, be sure you talk to Jessica about the place she went in Waco for ideas.
Oh, I'm sure you've been Union Hall.
Oh, yes. yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
We want to look sort of like that.
Yeah. I've been on about a 3-year journey of
I've been-
food hall research.
I bet you have.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And it's
Yeah,
also been a
Some
lot
good
of,
eating.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yeah,
And we're
thank you.
so, as Tim said, thank you for doing it.
Oh, yes, of course.
So when do we get in?
Yeah. that's the
Well,
bottom
we're
line.
hoping that, I'm hoping we'll have construction done by the end of this year. So maybe, we're hoping. And then, but we're doing our recruiting. We're talking right now to potential vendors, tenants. So that's exciting. Yeah, we have some good ones on the list. Now there's, qualifications they have to go through and everything to make sure we're really trying to curate it to be very specific on what we're looking for.
Can we get 2 Mexicans and 1 Chinese?
Yeah, yeah.
Because then we need more, we need more.
Mexican. Actually, there's this, she's a vegan food truck called Planted Food Truck. Have y'all tried it yet? She's over at Summer Fun in Delta.
Okay.
Oh, I know where, yes,
Yeah.
I've seen it, but I haven't tried it.
Yeah, they're opening up a food truck park there. And Planted Food Truck does this thing called the Birria Tacos, which I don't know if y'all, I watched something called the Taco Chronicles on Netflix. Have you ever seen that? Yeah, because, in Mexico, there's so much diversity in cuisine from different regions. So there's this tacos called the Birria Tacos. It's a specific type of taco that's made, I think it's pork, and they make the tortilla from scratch and put it in grease, and it's all this wonderful stuff to it.
Oh my God, you're smart.
Yeah, and I was sitting there looking at it, I'm going, gosh, I'm just gonna do that in vegan style. That's the way I eat. And I found this food truck, and she's making these amazing tacos. And people who love meat, I think would love those tacos. So if you get a chance, putting a plug in for Planted Food Truck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We need good Greek salads.
we do need good Greek. We
A
need
good Greek food, forget just the salad.
a Mediterranean restaurant.
We do.
Downtown
I mean, a
Temple.
real Mediterranean
Yeah.
restaurant. It's as good as the one in Waco
Yes,
on whatever street.
Alpha Omega. That one's-
Yes, that one.
Yeah, that's a good place.
Maybe they'd like an ancillary mall, a
Yes.
stall, whatever you call it.
There's one in Parker Heights to Acropolis.
I haven't eaten there,
That's
but I've
really
heard
good.
it's very good. Thank you
Patrick,
for telling
you
us
have applied
about-
for Main Street, isn't that right?
Yes.
Main Street and then neighborhood revitalization, those the only 2?
There's a-
Or
Yes.
a third?
Only two.
This one says, my list says 3. Is there a third one? Or
Was there a third one?
unless I missed.
DEI Main Street. And then
Oh, DEI. Okay.
And I don't know how y'all are deciding to choose, but I enjoy serving, and I enjoy serving on both. But if I'm chosen for neither one, I understand. But if I'm choosing for one of the other, that's your choice.
Well, what's your-
It's a lot to serve on both.
If you had to rank those 3, how would you do it?
As far as your interest.
Yeah.
Well, Main Street, I'm learning a lot about the Main Street district. That helps me with this process, this project. But I think I also, Main Street, visiting downtowns has been a hobby for a long time. It's a weird hobby, that's what I like to do. And I travel around and I just kind of go and visit to get ideas, bring them back, and I, share them with the group, sometimes they seem to go someplace. Sometimes all of a sudden I'll see something, hey, that was something I thought about, but I don't know if it actually was implemented because of my thought, but maybe in some process somewhere, it get out there. That's kind of cool. Revitalization, I love it. I love the people on it.
Susan, I love working with Susan, and she's an inspiration. And the idea of preserving and forward thinking with neighborhoods, I love that idea. I love working in that process. Ranking, it's hard. It really is. On Main Street logically, but passionately, I mean, both of them.
Yeah, that's okay, that's all right.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving.
Okay.
We know about you, I think.
What's that?
I said we know about why you're interested in serving.
I think the main reason I like to serve is just because I feel like it's part of what we're supposed to be doing. I enjoy it. Serving it's self-fulfillment, to be able to be a part of a process in this community, especially. One time somebody told me, they said, I love Temple, Texas, and I don't want it to change. I want to keep it the way it is. And I took that information like, that's okay. It's okay for that person, for whoever thinks that way, but that's impossible because it's going to constantly change. And the thing is to help, with some kind of input to guide it along the process with listening, first of all, and then taking that information out and helping it, getting that information back out where it applies. So I'm learning something. Can I help this? Can I help this city move in a direction that that'll be better, fiscally, better for the people, better for everybody. Because I think it's a big part of it. You're not going to satisfy everybody. Some people don't like change, but change is inevitable. And if we can do it in a positive way, which for the greater good, then I'm all for it. So, in most cases, there's some cases I'm like, we didn't go that way. If it happens, it happens, and you have to be flexible. I have to be flexible.
You grew up here, right?
Yes.
You made reference to knowing Judy forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now he's office.
When did you graduate?
I thought,
In 86.
It's like the lines kind of blur as we age.
All right.
I knew we were in school sometime together.
Well, my brother and your brother were good friends.
Yes.
was Nelda your aunt?
Yes.
Nelda was your aunt.
Oh my gosh.
She's a good friend, very close friend of mine.
Yes.
So I've known your name forever
Okay.
through Nelda.
Okay. Wow.
I miss her.
Yeah. So
Think
do I.
about her. I don't know, how you think about it, just for no reason, she comes into my mind.
She was that big spark of light.
She was just a spark.
Yeah, she was.
How's her husband?
Just as good.
Is he doing
Yeah,
okay?
He's doing good.
Good.
He's found his path and that he's moving forward, and he serves at his church quite a bit and tries to be involved and keep himself busy.
Good. I got to know him somewhat through her, and I haven't seen him since her funeral, which is terrible. But that she does. Anyway, sorry.
That's all right. And now you've told us some of this is going to be redundant, but what skills, talent, or experience do you think you would bring to the position?
I think my most important asset is I listen and I process, and I usually don't say a whole lot in meetings until it takes a lot to get me to respond, but it usually comes out through emails after the meeting. Nancy Glover, and I think she heard a lot from me in the very beginning of Main Street. For one is that the meeting, we have a certain amount of time, and I don't want to take up a lot of time with my thoughts, conversations. So a lot of times I'm a visionary, and I really like to, I see things and I play things in my head. I actually go through step by step, like in this food hall. I walk through it step by step, imagining if I was a customer and how would I respond to this? How would I react to that? And I think with this downtown planning, I kind of do the same thing. Sometimes I go downtown at night, walking through the streets and looking for lighting and thinking, what are we missing around here? Why are there not more people down here? What's going on? Now, like Friday night, I had to park a block and a half away to go to Nani's restaurant to just kind of meet. And I like that. It makes me realize that what we're the energy we're putting into this downtown is working. And that's really cool. I mean, it's seeing our labor, our time and energy moving forward. I mean, it's great people in that community. So
How did you go from Johnny's Office Systems to City Eats?
my passion has always been food. I've had restaurants and I was in the food manufacturing industry. My partner's a chef, and so we just kind of tend to, we're gravitated towards culinary
You met him
snobbery.
the other day.
Yeah, Rick Walker.
Yeah, Rick.
We met his partner, yes, on DEI.
Yeah, yes,
Remember him?
of course.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't,
So he's been a chef for a long time. My goal in life was to become a chef, and it didn't quite happen that way. But I met a chef that's an amazing person, and he and I kind of share an interest in the culinary world. And so we started kind of like checking out food halls. My sister was actually the one who brought the idea to us. And she goes, Temple needs a food hall. And I was like, food hall? Temple, downtown Temple? And then when I saw that Waco was going to be developed, I'm like, yeah, we can do this. We can make this happen. It's going to take a little time, but we can make it happen. And
And upstairs, 2 residences or
it
1?
used to be residential, and the plan has changed. It is now because we figured that the residential doesn't necessarily bring business and support to the lower level. So we decided to do more entertainment, amusements. Like there's something we found called Duck Pin Bowling. It's a bowling alley on a smaller level. You have a little ball you can hold in your hand, and you toss it so you can hold your martini glass or beer in the other hand. And it's a lot of fun. It's competitive.
Here, hold my beer and watch.
yeah, oh, I love that.
And then it's very casual atmosphere. So that along with some shuffleboard and
But axe throwing.
what's that?
Axe throwing, that's the new job.
I thought about that. I just thought about my ability.
Hold my beer.
Scotland, you have to hold your beer mug in one hand as you throw your dart.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for
That's true.
sure. So there's a great similarity here.
Yes, yeah. And we get to participate in it a few times, and I've checked Duck Pin bowling alleys around the country. And it's a lot of fun. And it's in atmospheres like this, creating
Destination.
destination place. And that's what we thought. For City Eats to be successful, it has to become a destination downtown.
I love that you added the balcony too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aesthetically really nice.
And then and I don't know if y'all know, we also have 106 now. So part of that one that's kind of falling apart, that took us about a year and a half to negotiate with the owner. But the following letter, she released it to us and sold it to us. And so that's actually was also held us back a little bit because we had to redo all of our planning, engineering, and everything with the architect.
Are you gonna check that wall out and open it up or
Just
just?
sidewalk.
Yeah.
I mean, in the exterior wall, yes. It's gonna actually have to be rebuilt and redone structurally.
Okay.
And there's also a really cool basement down below. So the floor plan shows the sidewalk with steps going down into the basement. And somebody we're talking to for like a little basement kind of bar type place.
Yeah.
To lease out. Yeah.
Wonder.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah.
So,
It just, the project kind of grew, and it just kind of grew. That meant the planning, the strategizing, engineer, architect, everything had to be redone. So it's now been redone, so now that's why we're moving forward. We needed to finish the facade because of the terms of the agreement. So we're almost done with that.
That's awesome. What would you like to accomplish as a city board member?
I think that knowing that I was part of a team that helped create a better community, and that actually helped. Planning is something that I never really realized was so important. I guess because I never participated in it. A city, a town, how it works. Never even thought about that until I got into committees. And then I saw it in action with revitalization. Oh my gosh, this takes a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of vision. And I think what I'd like to do is just say, I helped it become that reality. So when my niece grows up, she's in this town and she just loves the doors. And that's a big part of it. She's a big driving force for me because I want to see her. She loves her little community. And, We hope she sticks around, but we know she'll be going off to school. So, but yeah,
But you know, that's been a big push though, is to bring those kids that leave,
Mhm.
to make them want
Yes.
to have something that'll draw them back.
What's funny is I have friends that have left Temple and they're like, go back to Temple. Why would I go back to Temple? And they come back and visit and I take them downtown or take them on, oh my gosh, this is not the Temple I remember. And it's amazing. And they're like, and we've had friends that we became friends because they moved in from California. We attend the same spiritual community and they come and they're just like, they love Temple. They come from LA. And they're just, I can't believe this little town has all these little things going on. I have things to do.
Yeah.
Great parks. I love it. So I
Getting
like
better.
it. It's getting better. Yeah.
Our parks really are stellar.
Oh, yes.
Very unusual for a town this size to have the acreage and parks maintained and diversity. You know the house on Marlin Wood that burned and there's a very cute small house that's been built there. Do you know where I mean?
Yes.
Just near
Yeah,
your
no,
house.
yeah, two house stuff.
Exactly. That woman who owns that house is the manager at the health food store. She's very into culinary things. Might be interesting for you to meet her sometime. Very nice. Her name, of course, escapes me. She's very, very nice.
Yeah, natural grocers.
Natural grocers.
Yeah.
She's the manager there.
That's when I knew Temple was changing, when we had natural grocers coming. I was like, I cannot, when I saw the sign go, what is that?
Yeah.
And it's not too far from my home. I live in the Bird Creek area.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Sure, but you can almost walk.
That's where I go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I saw that and I was like, I couldn't believe it. And I thought, Temple is, something is happening.
Yeah.
Somebody's feeling something.
I felt the same way when Natural Grocers came, but then I felt that all over again when that woman built that house on Marlin
Yeah.
Road because it is so different.
Yes.
So creative and
There was a
just
lot-
really great.
That's right.
And she's gonna do a lot of very interesting gardening around it.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Looking
very
forward to that.
interesting.
Looking forward to that.
Any questions for us?
I don't, when are the decisions made?
So we will be gathering, so this is our last week of interviews. We'll gather up as a council. Is that for Friday? That we're gonna, Monday?
Week from today.
Okay, good. So Monday the 29th, we'll gather up and make decisions. And then ultimately on Thursday the 1st is when the actual board appointments will be made.
Okay.
And the city will be in touch shortly after that.
Okay, great. Well, thank y'all for letting me serve in the past, because actually it's been a great learning experience. I'm very humbled, honestly, to be able to serve for my community. And I thank y'all. And it's been an amazing experience.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Thank you for all of your interest and creativity.
Very well.
Very important.
Thank you.
Thank you, sister, for the idea of the
I
thing.
will.
We like it.
There may be somebody sitting outside, Ms. McBride, would you please send her in?
Yes, yes.
And don't forget Greek.
Yes, oh, for sure. Definitely. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
All these people coming still?
Hey, come in. How are you, ma'am?
Very good, how is everyone?
Yeah.
I can take my mask off?
Yes.
If you're comfortable.
The way the hot flashes are set up,
So, do you know everybody here?
I'm not sure.
Jessica Walker.
Jessica, Susan, Judy, Wendell, yes, and you.
Yes, ma'am. So Ms. McBride is Bishop McBride's wife and Lexi McBride's mother.
Yes.
So making all these connections with everybody. So I'm sorry we're running a little bit behind, but don't feel rushed.
Okay.
So, so we have a few questions we'd like to ask you, nothing, you know, if you didn't study for this, you'll be okay. So the
If
first
you didn't
one,
study for it, you're in trouble.
Whatever you did as a mother is just unbelievable.
Oh,
Isn't she
Lexi
good
is-
stock?
Yes,
I
she
just
is.
love her. She's impressive to
She
me.
is, she just is. Not
She's
your
very
socks
sharp.
right off.
Yes.
I love that girl. She's just a sharp one.
And
I have a
the-
son too.
Well, I never met him, but if he's anything like she is, you're stellar.
He's a little bit more laid back and very creative.
yeah.
So she's creative.
Unbelievable.
Sorry, I interrupted what you were doing.
I know, but I'm very proud of what you know, so I love her.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're serving on the Neighborhood Revitalization Advisory Board. And did you put in for any more?
Yes.
I think maybe
Police and the diversity and equity. But I am Mia McBride. I am the wife of Pastor McBride. I am originally from Fort Worth, Texas, born and raised, a native of Fort Worth. Moved to Temple in the 90s, and I have lived here and served in the community here for nearly 30 years. I graduated from UTA. Sorry, I'm not an Aggie for the Aggies that are in the room.
Not one in the group.
Okay.
No problem.
But I
Are you
graduated.
familiar with ECU basketball?
No. Pay no attention to it.
But I graduated from college in Arlington, from UTA in Arlington, and moved here. We got married, and I have worked here. Been like a manager on every job I've ever been on, but in the more recent years, I worked for. Now I'm going to date myself, but if you've lived here, you know this. I've worked for Sprint Cellular, 360 Communications, and Alltel.
Never changed, Bill.
Yeah. Changed building. But I was a regional manager, so I managed all the way over from East Texas, hundreds of employees, retail employees, and executive sales reps all the way from East Texas, Longview, Tyler, Kilgore, all of that, way down to Burnett, Atlanta, Marble Falls, and Passes. So I was there for several years and left there in the early 2000s. And my husband and I have been entrepreneurs. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. We've been doing that ever since, pastoring the church for nearly 20 years now. It's been about 18 years. Had learning centers. We've always done business. We had a coffee shop in Temple Mall for a little bit. We had a coffee house in the Kalini Mall. And so I've just been working with my husband in business and in ministry all of these years. So.
God, where do you get your energy?
I don't know. I just, growing up,
Coffee shops.
I know, exactly. I'm an avid coffee drinker. It's a coffeeholic. It's an addiction for me, but you know, I've been here. Haven't had mine yet, but I don't want to come in here with the size cup I was gonna eat. But you know, just growing up with entrepreneurs, you just were kind of expected to do it. My dad owns his own construction company. My grandfather owned his own construction company. He owned his own plumbing company. He had, you know, several businesses and such growing up. And so what made me want to serve was that I lived in Temple. I'm a part of the community. And so I have served so much in ministry with my husband that I thought it was time to, you know, try to do something even more. Many moons ago, I can't even remember the year exactly what it was. I ran for city council here in Temple. And there was a runoff between me and the lady that was here before. I can't remember. Patsy. Yeah, there was a runoff between she and I. But I just wanted to be able to serve my community even more. So, you know, way back then, I can't even recall what it was so long ago, but I live in this community. We have a church in this community. We have a couple of buildings in this community. And because we have the church that we have on 801 South 13th Street and the church that the Crosleys rent from us on 205 South Terrace Street. And so we're a part of this community. We have another business another building that we used to have that was a beauty salon that we rented out. We're just part of here. I've been here now. I was a native of Fort Worth, but I've been here now for nearly 30 years. So I'm a part of the fabric here and just wanted to serve even more. So.
Okay, good. So what would you like to accomplish as a board member?
I think I just like to accomplish helping my city in any way possible. Whatever it is that I can do, like I said in the past, I've been in management. So in order for you to be in management, you have to understand a company's vision and be able to carry it out. So I'm able to, help to carry out whatever the vision that our city has and communicate that abroad to those that are in the community that I live in, those that are interested. So I'd like to accomplish, good rapport between the city of Temple and those that we serve, even in ministry and in the communication and cooperation and understanding, being helpful in any way possible.
Very good. Do you have any questions for us?
What are you guys looking to accomplish with this particular board?
I would say, and council obviously chime in, but this is a new board. And so what I would like to see from this board is folks that are willing to work as a team and ultimately really dig in to back up 2 steps. We have, for a long time, the city of Temple has placed the same people on boards. The people are serving on 2 or 3 boards, kind of the same faces all the time. The city, the city council who makes these nominations, we weren't very strategic or thoughtful on how we would put the people on. People would say, I'm interested, and we would sit in a meeting and we would say, okay, we're putting me on this board. Whether that was your passion or not, we were sticking people on boards. And so what I'm looking forward to is having people that we know, and instead of just a name on a piece of paper, someone that we know and we've talked to like this, we know what your passions are, and then hopefully put people where they want to be and where they fit versus just putting them on something. Does that make sense?
It does.
So that's what I hope that we get.
Now with the neighborhood revitalization or any of the boards, but with this one in particular, when I was looking at it online, what caught my interest was, looking at the safety of all neighborhoods, making sure that neighborhoods are kept up and looking beautiful and things like that, and looking at all of those things. And I thought maybe, hey, this would be great because we're out in the community. We have some buildings in the community, and I know that you're looking to revitalize and to do some upkeep, sprucing up, if you would, for lack of a better word, but making things look a little bit pleasing to the eye. We're concerned about the safety and such and all of that. So I was looking at that and thought, hey, this would be a great place to serve.
And also allowing each neighborhood to have its own personality, have that personality come out. So it's when you really have a sense of place when you go to the north side, when you go to Crestview, when you go to, it's important, I think, that the neighbors have an opportunity to participate in where they live and what's happening with them.
When I first moved here, I remember all of my friends going, you're coming from the DFW area, Fort Worth, big city, and you're going to Temple, are you going to be able to make it? Because they thought all we had was dust and tumbleweeds running on the streets. And so when I came here, I was pretty impressed with Temple because I thought it was a great place to raise a family. It was safe. It was small enough and big enough so that you just felt comfortable raising your family here. And we were smack dab in the middle of everything. So you could go to Austin anytime you wanted. You could go back to Fort Worth. Everything was kind of centrally located. You could touch the big cities easily, but also thought serving on this board, not only could we touch the big cities easily, but we can even study them, see what they're doing. Not necessarily bring big city to Temple because I kind of like it the way it is. I like the quaintness of this city. I really do. And I don't think I would look at, moving any other place because it's so quaint. It's the best of both worlds. But to study other cities and see how some things are done and just taking the good and leaving the bad.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Notice that you are on the diversity and police advisory and revitalization. Which one do you say is the only one? For your choice to serve on.
Diversity.
diversity, police, neighborhood revitalization. I think they're all equally important. But diversity is.
Again, goes back, putting people where they fit and where they want to be.
Because of the climate right now, and we've made great strides in the US, but because of the climate right now, I like that, the diversity. But it seems like to me, even the neighborhood revitalization has some forms of diversity on that as well.
For sure.
For sure.
Because we recognize the diversity of our neighborhoods.
Exactly. So that's a little bit of the same types of looking at things, just in a little bit different way when you're looking at construction and things like that. So it's the best of both worlds for me.
Okay, now,
Very good.
Any other questions for me?
It's sure nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you, but I have a couple other questions, just
sure.
easy questions. When this whole process, first of all, I commend you guys for even going through this process, however many times you've done it.
91. That's how many times, 91.
As an employer,
Interesting.
right?
Every interview is really
Yeah.
interesting.
As an employer, I think the most that I have ever interviewed was about 20 some odd people, but I was the sole interviewer. So I feel for you because I know that it can be pretty tedious, but when you wrap all of this up, what time frame are you looking at?
So we're looking at making the final appointments officially at a city council meeting on April 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're in the home stretch.
In the last leg of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, and then those appointments, depending on which board, those appointments will be effective April 1st. So it won't be long at April 1st, after April 1st, until, someone's contacted you, let you know what board you've been appointed to and, when the first meeting is.
Right.
So it'll happen quickly.
Okay, well, that's easy enough. Well, it was very nice to meet all of you, and I look forward to hopefully serving. As you know, being a leader, you first have to know how to follow. So I'm a team leader in most aspects of my life, but I'm a team player as well.
Good.
So
Thank you.
just,
Thank you so very much.
I just look forward to hearing from you guys.
It was great to meet you.
It was very nice to meet you. And I'll tell Lexi you say her praises. I will.
Talk to
You tell Bishop that we think he's okay.
Okay. We're doing the second round of those shots coming up.
I had over 300 first time, right?
Yeah.
I think we said 315 was it went smoothly. It was
That's what I heard.
fantastic.
Wonderful.
It went great for us.
And council, in case you didn't know, Grace Temple was also a water distribution side.
Yes.
Yes.
So the Grace Temple Ministries calls the city and says, what can we do? So thank y'all for that.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Gary, step on up.
Morning, Terry.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Okay.
Terry, I'm sorry, I had another doctor's appointment that I've got to go to. So go right ahead, just ignore me, because it takes me a bit to get
I'm
moving.
just gonna step out and go over.
Okay. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
I hope everything goes well.
Thanks. Oh, it will.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Terry, did you apply for other boards? Is it just this one?
I just
board?
applied for this one.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to being on other ones. I guess I just didn't really think about.
Well, that's okay. Just, pick what interests you and just wanted to make sure because this is the one time we interview. So if there was something else you were interested in, then we could discuss that. But we'll just discuss this.
Okay.
So Terry and I are neighbors. She's in District 1.
Karen, you know Williams, right?
Sure.
Kind of, sort of. He worked with the Business League for several years, now the president of it for 2 years. And the CAC, when she used to come get money from me all the time.
Send me some money.
And so you've been busy all along, haven't you?
I'll be right back. Go ahead, Judy.
Well, Taylor has to leave, but we have just 3 questions that we usually ask everybody the same question. Okay, so we're just gonna jump right into it, okay? And the first one is tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on this board.
I've lived on the north side in the same house since 1989. Excuse me, I say north side, you kind of lump that whole area in with the historic district, but we're not. And it's you know, the beauty of that area and the downside of that area is it's very eclectic. You'll have really nice, well-kept places next to, in the next street over, you'll have a mixed bag. And I really was interested when I learned that the city was taking the position that they really wanted to look at each neighborhood in the community and not just focus on the newer construction areas. The idea that you can't bring up one part without addressing all of it, I think is brilliant. A lot of people don't think that way, but I would like to be able to be part of a plan that made this area, well, that put together some planning for this area, because it really hasn't had anything. And I think there's a lot of, well, as I said, it's kind of a mixed bag, but I think there's a lot of potential in the area. I think there's a lot of really unique architecture. And as my neighbor who moved from Round Rock a couple of years ago said to me once that she had attracted some other people to move to Temple into this area because, and at first they said, why? And she said, you know, either you get it or you don't. Finally, she said, I get it. So I guess I'd just like to be part of that.
What skills or talents or experience would you want to bring to people?
Well, I'm not sure exactly how this would work, but I have communication skills. I have some computer skills maybe that would be useful. I know how to go about organizing plans. I listen. I try to take information and turn it into some key actions, I suppose.
Okay, that's good. And as a board member, what would you like to accomplish?
I would like to accomplish for the garden district, they tell me this is, a plan to move forward in the next decade, I suppose, or whatever the timeline seems to be, I don't know, zoning, regulations, just some standards to make the area shine and not be sort of isolated a lot of places.
As you know, we've got 18 different districts that we're all looking at. So
Yes.
we're got a good start, but there's just quite a bit. But it's very exciting to see.
It is exciting.
Master plans and the vision that's come up out of that by all the information and all the surveys that's come back from the neighbors' ideas that they have. So, and that's kind of where this committee will look at and kind of advise and also kind of set their recommendations to city council. So we're looking forward to that. It's just been really interesting. So is there any other questions you have for us?
I have looked at the plan that was developed for the historic district. And I see certain infrastructure improvements that will be planned. I presume that's kind of
Most of them don't have money backing them at the time, but they're vetted and ready just in case money does come available, a grant or other opportunity arises.
or if you know what the plan is, perhaps the group would look at doing some grants, finding some grants.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, Terry, we've talked to several people who've interviewed about the aspect that it's like an older home. We have older part of our cities. And if you don't renovate them, if you don't keep them up, they go down. And it's easy to build clean fields, which is difficult to take a neighborhood, give it an identity, give it a sense of community within that neighborhood, whether it's the Bel Air, the historical district, the garden district. And then the city can provide provides planning and some infrastructure to make it a better place. But it's gonna take a concentrated effort to get the community in that neighborhood behind it and create that sense of community. And board members, your advisory board, city council, your real charge is to oversee those plans, have input into it, but also be actively engaged in bringing up the awareness and the involvement of people within those neighborhoods. They'll get what they put into it to a large degree. So it's a broad-ranging charge, if you will, both to the city and to the board and the city staff. And it even goes down to me, to the citizens. You know, a street sign looks nice, but you'd have to have a sense of pride that you live on that street.
You also need, street captains to kind of foster.
Yeah. Neighborhood organizations, what are you going to call it? You're right.
Yeah, the street,
You're right.
let's get together and make this street beautiful, the next street and on and on. We kind of know the people on that street.
Any other questions for us?
And I think you were here when we were telling Mia that we're gonna try to wrap this all up and by
Right.
April 1st, have our nominations together and at the next meeting.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be too long. We are on the downhill slide.
Well, if I am chosen, great. If not, I'm sure you'll choose people to make it happen, and I'm excited about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's always good to see you.
Yes.
Have a good day.
We haven't seen much of a lot of people.
I know. I'm ready.
I get my second shot tomorrow.
Yay!
All right.
Bye,
bye.
Gary.
Bye-bye. Jana, where are we on this process?
Okay, we only have one more,
Miss Anna?
Miss Anna, and she's gonna try to get here as early as possible, but
So she is the last one.
she's the last one.
okay?
So Kyle Cranwood, we scheduled for Thursday. Paulina Castillo, which you already know, he's on plane. He can't even come on the makeup day. And then Todd Dever has not answered any of our phone calls, and Doug Smith scheduled for Thursday.
So we have one more,
One more to
and the day's over.
Yes, and as of right now, the Wednesday meeting has been canceled altogether because we were able to get everyone rescheduled to Thursday.
So we have no meeting
No
Wednesday.
interviews on Wednesday.
Say that one more time.
No interviews.
Do you mean it? You promise?
Write it in blue. So we have tomorrow afternoon, two
Oh,
boards
so I'm
we're gonna
gonna
go
take this
through,
off.
nothing Wednesday. And Thursday
Is our makeup,
is it's gonna be a
Starting
big
at
makeup.
1.
starting at 1, and that's a pretty full, well, we have about 10 people, I think,
No,
so,
that's
so we
not
should be
bad.
all afternoon.
That's not so bad. Can't feel better already.
I know.
I was wondering.
Yeah, I looked back, saw all those pages, I said, man, somebody's gonna tell me what's going
I
on.
know. and
Well,
I'm not
I
gonna be
wanted
here
to have a
tomorrow.
sheet
Huh?
in here, I wanted to have a sheet just in
Just
case
in
they
case.
showed up.
Oh, I understand.
I'm not gonna be here tomorrow, just so you guys know. For the
Oh, no.
airport and library.
No, you have to be.
If you want me to,
I mean, yeah, where is your royal?
I know, right? So that business that pays my bills.
And so Anna's gonna be here at 12:45. Jan, is Anna gonna be here at 12:45?
Yes, she couldn't move it up any earlier, she's gonna try to get here as soon as she can.
Okay, so we got that for a minute. So let's try to go get a hamburger.
No. But I'm glad to see that you don't have 500 people.
Because I was gonna have to leave at 1:00. Thanks, everyone.
Let's see, she has applied for.
You know, what's interesting? Main Street, the historical district and the neighborhood revitalization. They could easily become all the more stuff. We can't do.
I know. No. It's, I mean, logically, they bought in that area for a reason.
Son. So when it's gray like this, I have a 1-year-old. When it's gray like this, he's just.
Excuse me for staring, but I'm seeing your mother walking.
I know, right?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm Anna. What is your name?
Wendell Williams. I grew up next.
Oh, of course. I'm sorry. It's been years. Nice to see you.
Glad to have you back in
Yes,
Temple.
I know. We're so excited.
I'm Judy Morales.
Nice to meet you, Judy. And a couple of Morris. Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too. So no, Jack was rubbing his eyes 45 minutes after he woke up. He's like his daddy. He can't stay awake if it's gray out. And he's gonna sleep most of
That's all right, just so he doesn't stay up all night.
You said he's
Amazing,
one?
but-
it. 15 months.
15 months.
No, he loves sleeping. So even if he sleeps all day, we're really lucky. I know we're thinking about another one and Darius like, I'm worried that the other one won't be like this. And I was like, it probably won't be. You know.
Judy, my family, I grew up on North Fifth Street and our next door neighbor was her grandparents.
Oh, was it? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Nanny and
We lived on
Papa or Mimi and Poppy?
I don't
Helen
know
and,
which one or which.
Helen and Dean?
Ellen and Dean. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you on the right or the left?
We were on the left,
In
we're on the corner.
In the stone house, brick or
Brick.
stone? Brick. I love that house.
Yeah. And so her mom and I went to elementary school all the way through.
Small world.
That's what I meant when I said, wait, Carla just walked in the door.
Yeah.
I know, we do, and it's getting worse because, you know, we live 2 houses down now.
Yeah.
So everything that I buy, she's like, oh, that's really cute, or I say the same thing, like, oh, that's really cute, so now we're starting to dress alike. So yeah, it's gonna get worse. Yeah, but we're really happy to be back. Judy, we just moved back, we were living in Austin the last couple of years,
Okay.
but my husband and I are both from the area, but we haven't lived in the area for 20 years.
Okay, that's
So,
right.
yeah, so we moved here at Thanksgiving.
Well, that's good. But you do have roots here, so that's important.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
since 1917.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're talking about the Neighborhood Revitalization Advisory Board, and we just have 3 quick questions for you. Great. Just real simple.
Okay.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to serve on this committee.
Okay, my name is Anna, and I'm really passionate about the North Side. My family's been there since 1917. My great-grandfather immigrated from Greece. He had a cousin in San Angelo who had a Greek diner, and they didn't want to be in competition, so he opened one in Temple. And so my family's lived between 5th and 13th for over 100 years. And I just absolutely love the neighborhood. And I lived in New York City for about 12 years, in Houston and Austin, traveled around the world for a couple of years. So have been a lot of places. In the last few years, when we started a family and COVID, I got a little choked up. It was just family that mattered the most to us. And we also started a new career together. My husband and I left our corporate jobs and started a business in real estate investing and revitalizing historic homes. So we're working on a couple of 1950 ranch homes in South Austin. And what we were seeing is that so many people were just tearing homes down rather than working with the original framework and rebuilding the inside. And I grew up at 606 North 9th Street, which is one of the historic homes from 1891. So I've always been really passionate and familiar with older homes. And I've actually never lived in a new house in my life. This is my first house that I've ever had a big closet. And it's still a 1940s house, but the previous owners added on a really big closet, so that's fun. So Temple has been near and dear to my heart for a long time, but in starting my own family, it became even more important. Yeah, and we hung Jack's swing out in the front yard because something that we took from Austin and even from living in New York is that really everybody was out and about in those cities. And a concern that I had moving back to Temple was that I wasn't used to people being in the front yard. And so we hung our swing in the front yard, and we're really lucky because we live across the street from Jacob and Carly Bates, who own Treno's and Bird Creek, and they have 3 little girls who love Jack.
Oh,
So
you got
now,
the King's girls too.
and the King's girls, and then Leah and Brent Goats, she works for Perry Office Supply.
Who is he, the podiatrist?
No, he has a screen printing. They bought that Helen Bond's house that has a 3-car garage and it's a split level. This is terrible. We'll do this all day.
We've lost control.
Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, they've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old little boy. So now we're just back and forth and, we have chairs in the front yard and everyone's hanging out in the front yard. And then, so there are lots of kids and there are lots of grandparents. A couple houses down, some people bought a house that wanted to be closer to their grandkids down on 13th, further south. So it's just been really great. So that's why I love the neighborhood so much. Whether it's the historic district or the garden district or all the districts that I don't even know about. I love the north side because I love downtown. And I like to be able to walk places, which was why I lived in New York for so long.
Wow.
I like to be able to support local businesses. My sister lived in Vermont for many years, which has no chains or franchises. So that really became a passion for both of us, that we support, local businesses. And as a business owner myself, I'm really passionate about that.
So you kind of already answered it, but the next question is, what skills, talents, or experience did you have you would bring to the committee?
Well, my education is in corporate communications and public affairs, and I worked with lobbyists. Actually, Wendell, you would know Ken Cole. Yeah, so Ken was my mentor, and actually he's the reason that I moved to New York. That being said, after living in New York for a couple of years, I went into pharmaceutical sales. So that was really the bulk of my career. And after that, I've had 6 different businesses. So entrepreneurship has always been in my blood. And I think the skill that I probably bring to the table is I'm not afraid of anything. I don't get stopped by no. I don't really see problems. I see how to get everything to work. We just bought 502 North 9th Street. I don't know if you guys know the house with no roof. We're so excited.
It's such a cool house.
It's such a cool house. Jerry Chandler was the original owner, but it's at 9th and Elm. And I use that as an example, Judy, because it was a very contentious 2 investors from Austin who owned it, and they hated each other. And we were out in the front yard, having looked at the house, seeing all the mold, seeing the no roof, all the damage. Rather than get overwhelmed by that, Derek and I are really excited about it because it means we get to do what we want and we get to, and we're going to bring it back to its original glory. But they had 12 different people try to buy the house in the last year. And because one was very unethical, the deal would always fall through. And it took us about 2 weeks, but we closed on Thursday. So I think that's probably the most unique skill. We're able to get things done that stop others. And I say Derek as well, because we're kind of a package deal. He would be here applying for the committee, but we're renovating these 2 houses and he's been maxed out.
Yeah. So being a member of the board, what would you like to accomplish?
Well, I'm even when I filled out the application, it's like, I feel so stupid writing my answers because I was like, I have no idea what it does actually. I spoke to Susan Luck and she said I should do this. And I was like, yes, okay. The name sounds great. What I'd like to accomplish is to really bring neighborhoods closer together, so that people know their neighbors, not just on their street, but in the surrounding streets. I'm already thinking like I'd like to have a monthly, get together where everybody gets to meet. Maybe we go from the historic district one month and then we're in the garden district another month and kind of move from place to place. Somebody at the city, I had a meeting with the marketing department last week and getting to know them. There was a gentleman that I really liked and he said that he moved here from Austin, and he has everything he couldn't have in Austin: a good affordability, quality of life, great job, great home, and he has no social life. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, what? Because I think that's really important. And he said, yeah, I just go out of town for my social life. So my personal mission is to make sure he has a social life.
You don't have to drive it.
I'm like, no. I mean, I have 2 dogs in the buggy, so like we like to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think really bringing people together is one of my favorite things to do. I think that we have far more in common than different.
Anna, you applied for 3 boards.
Mhm.
I saw that correctly: Main Street, the Historical Preservation, and of course, the Neighborhood Restoration. Do you have a preference of any of those? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I haven't, and again, because I'm not as familiar with the ins and outs of every committee,
Right.
I've relied on people that I know and trust to tell me what they think, given what I'm passionate about and what they hear me talk about all the time, what they have, I mean, specifically Susan Luck, and some people at the city that I've spoken to, and neighborhood revitalization seems to be the one that seems most in line. And that being said, I'm open. I want to contribute and help our city. So
You've seen so much because you traveled so much, but you love the older homes. So I think you could bring a lot to that committee, just your ideas, your big vision.
Yeah, that would be really fun. I mean, we did these houses in Austin and we were told that we were overpaying for them, that we shouldn't do brand new plumbing, we shouldn't do brand new electrical, we should not convert a 4-car garage into a master and all this stuff, and we would just completely lose our, excuse my language, our asses. And we did everything everyone told us not to, and sold the house for about $100,000 over asking without putting it on the market. And I say that not to brag, but it's really important for people to understand that these older homes can be preserved. And you really do need to do everything to bring them up to.
You can't cut corners.
You can't cut corners. No, and we named our business Happy Karma Homes, Judy, because we really want everybody to win. And on Friday night, we had an event at the house. It's already sold and it's closing this Friday, but we had the original homeowner with his wife come. And it was a really special home to them. And I was shocked that they sold it to us in the first place. And at the end of the event, they came up to us and said, you brought our vision to life and far surpassed it. Exactly. And I was so nervous all day. I was like, oh God, they're going to show up and he's going to nitpick everything we did. But so that was
says a
really.
lot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go buy that, on Nightingale.
Oh, yeah, you'll know which one it is.
Yeah.
It's
You can't
the
miss the blue card.
northeast corner.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any questions for us?
I guess my question is, what's the plan for hearing back from you all? And then also what are
We're
you
just gonna
looking-
do interviews. We're not gonna tell anybody. what
Yeah,
we're doing.
secret.
So I guess what are your next steps and how do you see the committee contributing to the city?
Well, first of all, this is all these committees that we're starting over on most of them.
Oh, okay.
And this is the first time we've gone through this whole interview process, so this is all new to us.
Oh, good.
But we're hoping that we'll finish up with all the interviews, all 94 of them, by the end of this week and early next week. And April 1st, we will present our nominations and appointments at that time. And then you will get a call from Jenna or email, and she will let you know within the next week or so.
Is it Jenna or Jana?
Jana.
So within a week after April 1st.
So somewhere in that time.
So I have a question. I've been sitting here thinking back. Your grandfather was Mike Epps.
Yes.
What did you call well, you didn't, but you would have been your great grandmother, what your mom called her?
Birdie.
Bird. She lived right up the street.
In the house that Clinton from Pignetti's bought. Yes, which I was fortunate. That was what kind of started us moving back to Temple. I walked to the house and had some ideas for it, and then Brooke Fowler.
I certainly didn't know great grandfather, but I met him when I was really small, and I've heard the name.
Did you ever go to the Moss Rose? Yeah.
My parents took me, probably in the high chair.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of people knew him from that. I unfortunately only know stories of him. And then my great grandmother passed away the year I was born. But the stories live on. They sound.
Well, they get better with age.
They do. They do.
But it's good to have you back in Temple. It's great to, we've had the opportunity of meeting a lot of young people who have moved back to Temple or moved here for the first time. And opening this process up, as Judy just mentioned, has been one of the better things that the council has embarked upon. It's going to change the dynamics of all the boards and commissions. And you know, these are advisory boards, and they will work with city staff to formulate plans and initiatives, and then run those by the city for approval, and the council will be involved in some of that. So it'll be active, and we expect everyone to be involved.
Absolutely.
Very much a working board.
Yes, I know. Yeah, and even when I was filling it out, it was at a moment, I think it was very late at night. I was very tired. And the question was like, how many hours can you contribute? I'm like, none. I have these houses and also, and then I was like, but I can figure it out. And I'm so happy that we're closing on these houses this week and next. So that'll free us up from commuting back and forth.
The saying, when you want to get something done, you ask the busiest person to do it.
Exactly. And that's why I was like, I'm just going to answer this honestly. And if they know that, then they'll figure that out. But yeah, and it's also great because in the last couple of months that we've been here, we have some really great help for Jack. And so, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Give your mom a hug.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, she took Jack all weekend, so I'm going to give her some space today.
I was going to do that. Yeah.
2 houses down, I'm always like, if you want to come over, we're here, but I let her kind of take the we come in like a tornado.
Yeah, that's nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.